Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Paladins PC Finals at the summer premiere. Ladies and gentlemen, the crowd is crazy. And the truth is, it's because everybody loves an underdog story. Underdogs from David and Goliath and throughout our culture have represented the idea that anyone in any circumstance can rise above life's obstacles and do the impossible. But today, ladies and gentlemen, I present you not one underdog, but two. The number 4 seed, the North American team, and of course, the number 7 seed from China, here, doing the unthinkable by beating the top 3 teams in Paladins Esports history to make it on this stage. And though, of course, one journey will end in victory and another in defeat, history is sure to be made. Who's ready to watch? That's what I'm talking about. So, without further ado, let's bring up the team captains from Cryptik and QG Craze. How you doing, man? Good to see you. How are you doing, Shasha? These two players have been phenomenal. We're going to talk to Team Cryptik first. doesupz, obviously the captain of your team. How are you feeling going into the finals today?
I'm feeling great. We're mentally prepared. We've been up all night. We got strats. We got some pocket picks. You guys are going to have a great show. It's going to be very entertaining.
You know, unlike some other teams, you, Kusqt, and the boys, you care about putting on a performance. How much of this today comes from you being able to innovate, being different, taking a different view in the Paladins Esports? How much of that is a result of why you're here?
Team Cryptik runs deep. You know, we can pick whatever we want, and we can make it work. Whatever they do, we're going to have an answer.
Might see some Buck, Torvald from these guys. Let's take a look with Team QGshasha. How are you doing today? I want to know one big question. Do you think you can win it all?
你觉得今天能赢这场比赛吗？虽然美国队很强，但是今天我们要把这个冠军奖杯带回中国。
Of course, we think that the NA team is strong, but at the end of the day, it's going to be us raising the trophy.
A lot of confidence coming from China. Shasha thinks they're going to take it. Obviously, your Buck play, your Torvald, your Ying, all of these champions that have fallen out of the North American and European metas seem to be working well for you. Do you have any more secrets left to unveil?
就是你们打的很多英雄，现在北美、欧美现在都不打了，你是不是还有别的选择还没看到？
是 ，yes.
Yes. So, if you haven't been surprised already, maybe there'll be more surprises in the tank. Thank you, Shasha, and good luck to your game today, as well as you, doesupz, from Team Cryptik. Again, the number 4 and the number 7 seed facing off. What could be better? Why don't we have our casters tell us? Alan, I Hold Shift, Donofrio, and Vox Tempest on the mic. Send it away.
Thank you so much, Evan. Of course, once again, Vox, Alan on the mic. I Hold Shift. It is a pleasure to be here today. The final day concluding Dreamhack of Valencia here in Valencia, Spain. We've got 2 amazing teams up on stage. We've just heard their captain speak. But I ask you, are you feeling excited?
I feel like I have to be. How bold the statements were. Anything you're planning on bringing out that we're not expecting? Yes.
Yes.
Like, give me a break. This is about as exciting as it gets. As Evan said, it is the 4 versus the 7. Traditionally, we've never seen a North American team get to the finals, but let alone a team that we have really kind of never seen, period, and they're writing their own Cinderella story here.
They certainly are, and we've seen their progress through the bracket over the last few days, but for those of you tuning in for just the first time, what have you been doing? What have you been watching? But we'll get you caught up here now. Starting off, you can see that both QG Craze, on the bottom side, this is the real Cinderella story, coming in as the 7th seed, took a 3-1 victory over the 2-time land champions District 69 and continued through beating out QGmikasa Esports and then wound up in the finals today in Team Cryptik.
Yeah, I mean, this is, again, they were able to play against their other North American team early on. They went down 2 games off the bat, had the reverse sweep, which just about everybody was just absolutely wild about. And then, of course, traditionally never doing well against Gangstars, they find a way to pull out a very, very convincing 4-2 win in maps then.
They certainly do, and my goodness, it's enough to make me take off my glasses because I was stunned in disbelief, and I think most of the crowd was as well. The reactions that we've seen from the audience here over the last few days has been phenomenal as well. So much Paladin support coming out from around the world, demonstrating that Paladins, it's not all about North America and Europe anymore. You were the first. But but we have a truly global audience. And we're going to have an amazing best of 7 final set here today on stage to find out who goes away with a big piece of the prize pool. And, well, who will have to come back next time to see if they can once again prove their worth.
Without a doubt, and of course the North Americans have been close to this stage before, and Team Cryptik, out of any other team I think that is not a traditional finalist, has a very good shot. I mean, you cannot talk about Team Cryptik without talking about Kusqt. He is just absolutely on fire. His average heals, 141,000 healing a game averaged yesterday. That is absolutely incredible, 28.1 thousand per death. Thank you, Bacon50 for the stats last night. But that guy has been absolutely incredible. doesupz as well with the Makoa gameplay using the Eevee. There is Kusqt not rocking the US bandana,
but rocking a bandana nonetheless. So he's already powered up there. Evulli coming into the center, the Bomb King, the Drogo's master there. Following on.
iDropBodies, and Droxus is one of his biggest staples. He did not perform all that great at the Masters LAN on that champion, did not falter whatsoever yesterday. And WarDoom, again, one of the more aggressive frontliners in the history of Paladins, having a wonderful standout performance throughout.
We can see across the other side of things, it is QG Craze. Now, Shift, you've been following along with these a little throughout the qualifying phase as well, where you can. Talk to me, what do we got?
QG is, again, just a squad that they were at HRX, but not with their full roster. This is the first time they've had all 5 together. They've had a team house. They've been able to practice. They've been able to dissect every single team they've been going through, and that's exactly the case as you go down the row with Panga, this frontline player, very good. Kami, who actually tops out the damage, 115.5 damage a game average yesterday. Incredible numbers from him, specifically because he played a lot of Grok yesterday.
Oh, yeah.
Mikasa. I'm the Ying of all characters. We haven't seen much Ying at all, Vox, and that was a big surprise.
Resonates with me, which is suitable since Resonance is a legendary of choice. QGshasha as well as we move down, and then Shift closing things out.
It's QGuagua. And again, this was one of those things that Shasha really took the spotlight in day 1 with his Buck play, but this guy has been incredible, not only just playing Bomb King, but also Buck, able to jump in, and we weren't sure if they're going to be able to bring anything else to the table because their Bomb King was a staple throughout all of that Kanga matchup, but able to play Buck a couple different times when Kanga stole away the Bomb King from them and having a lights out performance.
And that flexibility is just so important. It's of paramount importance. We've seen the same composition or a similar composition run by this team, QG Craze, many times throughout the duration of this tournament, really working on their synergy as players and their understanding of each other and their communication, rather than, oh, what should we swap in and out to have the best draft possible? And that's what makes all the difference. They're here, as you said, with all 5 members, and look how much of a world away they are from the team we saw at HRX. It is an absolute pleasure to watch them play.
Without a doubt, and it's going to be interesting to see what that team composition and that synergy brings up. Map number 1, Frog Isle. Ooh. Typically, Team Cryptik has been very strong here, but again, we saw QG roll the tides a little bit on this map.
We certainly did. You know, we saw them play again the very first set, Buck and Eevee, the pincer flank duo, and the mobility was too much for the time District 69 to deal with. It's going to be incredible to see if they pull out something similar here today, but Frog Isle is often a map where these sets begin. Relatively neutral, a funnel-shaped capture objective, and a short map overall. Sweeps a piece on this map. We'll have to see if one team will take an early advantage, or whether they'll be able to duke it out and push it all the way to a 4-3 victory for one or the other. This map will set the pace of the games to come. We'll have to see if one will take an early advantage and if the other may be able to recover.
Well, without a deal, and you actually bring up the word recover. I think the big storyline we have to keep an eye out for throughout this entire tournament has been the fact that if you can find the supports, get them killed, you're more likely to succeed in the team fight. Whenever that instance happens, Team Cryptik gets themselves the first overall selection on map number 1. We've seen a lot of Ruckus. Do you anticipate it coming out by chance here?
I would not be shocked if they just took out a Maldamba. Ruckus has been a relatively neutral pick so far, but QG, it just doesn't matter as much to them whether they get it or not. But no, they're taking the Drogo's first one here. Evulli has dominated on Frog Isle with Drogo's, able to use a peak and combustible fire spit strategy to keep themselves safe for the most duration, but we know how vulnerable Drogo's can be to Buck, and opening up that possibility for QG early, it's going to ask some questions to them. They go, do they have an answer to the Buck versus Drogo's combo? Or are we just confident enough to pick it out anyway?
Well, without a doubt, I mean, you bring up a very strong point. It will be Bomb King first, and again, this was the storyline against Kanga. It really turned out for 6 of the maps. The team that had Bomb King won. It wasn't until the 7th that was flip-flopped, so there was a response eventually by QG, and they will actually take the Buck early on. And very quick picks here, getting the front line online for Cryptik. They decide to go with a Ruckus, and then, of course, Makoa looking to pull out that Buck.
It feels like Cryptik are confident in the fact that Maldamba won't be stolen away by QG here, and they are going to select Ying and Torvald as their picks, the same composition that we've seen time and time again from them. And Cryptik are therefore able to draft Maldamba later, ensuring that they get the front line that they want online. and versus the combination that we've seen from QG, Ruckus with their repulsor field, straight up damage mitigation, as well as Makoa with their dredge anchor displacement, is critical in shutting down the pressure from a mobile Bomb King and Buck. Barak walked in as the final frontliner for Team Cryptik, potentially vulnerable though with Shock Pulse to Grok, the last pick for Team QG Craze.
Yeah, that right-click ability from Grok is able to bounce around from those turrets, which is really big, so you can securely get that damage off. And that is
the slows.
Yeah, the slows is the big thing. It bounces between different characters. You can see how tight that point is as we go up and down the payload path. Very tight as you literally move to and from either spawn to capture point or vice versa. And this is the guy that's really looking to open up the door for his team. QGshasha on Buck has been phenomenal throughout this entire tournament.
Watch out for an early dive coming from QG Craze as they ready themselves to go straight towards the objective. Often picking up a master riding early is the Torvald to dance around on there. They get a few percentage of capture very early on, but up goes Drogo's vulnerable blow to the block. Is hit by the repulsor field, but first blood as Kami tracks them out of the air.
And second as well, QGshasha able to fall right down on top of doesupz, looking for more as he gets into the back line. Able to find this Barak who's piecing themselves apart. QG finds 4, make that 5 as they go all the way through. It's just Kusqt on the respawn trying to get himself back, but he's being focused out, and look how aggressive QGshasha is being.
But all the while, Kusqt was so survivable throughout the engagement, was able to get a stun off onto QGshasha as well at the end there. Not enough to stay alive, but demonstrating maybe some hope for the team in blue. Team Cryptik must aggress to the objective here. QG Craze holding it down pretty steady. Makoa goes in, drops the half shell, but half shell into a Torvald, instant recharge, shut down.
Yeah, and that's not what they want to do, is have that Makoa, of course, trying to commit to get the overtime through, but a triple kill for QGshasha. Can he find a 4th? Able to take out Panga's Dawn as doesupz, he does find 4, and once again, Team Cryptik swept off the table.
The problem is, every time these frontliners go in aggressive from Team Cryptik, they're leaving their backline open. QG Craze capitalize on that with dives from the Buck, from the Bomb King, but also the frontline pressure is mitigated by Torvald as well. Runic Blast cannot be underestimated this early into the game with Cauterize taking heavy itemization priority. Resilience is no longer available or not yet picked up, and QGshasha is taking full advantage of that.
Yeah, and Kusqt, talking with him the other day, was saying to deal with the Buck, he needs to get that Snake Pit online and some depth cans. The Hydrogen coming in, QGuagua with a really big King Bomb, able to find 2, looking for a triple kill. Can he get it? He finds it! QGuagua with 3, setting up this payload push.
Perfect execution and obliteration. Team Cryptik wiped off the map, the traps go out. QG Craze, the payload is advancing, and already we've still got 1 minute and 40 seconds left on the clock. Initial bombs go out from QGuagua on the front line. Buck dives in ready, sitting in a totem. Grumpy bomb forward to zone. The shell shield is already being dismantled. Falling very low will be iDropBodies, and they do get eliminated.
And Panga just has all of these shields to recharge off of half shell, which is stationary and uncancelable. Barricade as well. Another team wipe, and a very quick 3-minute 2-0 for, my goodness, Team QG. Not scared at all, playing aggressive. Cryptik tries to come out and play hard, but is completely shut down.
No, they bend and they break. Team Cryptik had no answer to that. And whilst we say that, yes, the itemization will help, the Wrecker to break down Torvald's protection shield is going to be critical for Team Cryptik as we get later into this game. They may be able to stay a comeback as a result. Certain itemization choices so far won't be advanced enough, and we'll see those once we get back in the game. As right now we can see the players from Team QG Craze, cool as cucumber on the screen right now, looking very calm, collected, confident, and more words beginning with C.
Gotta watch out for that alliteration, Fox, it'll get you. But you can see this, as you mentioned, the itemization. You see a lot of yellow items up. There are 2 instances of the Master Riding, plus the morale boost for Buck, which is really interesting, trying to get that ultimate up as
Team
much
Cryptik,
as possible.
Though, only 1 Cauterize online, not shutting down the healing coming out of both Ying and Grok. Only rank 1 as well as Crackers 2. Golden is Torvald in a lot of trouble here, but Grumpy Bomb goes in perfectly through the barricaded zone, diving straight to the backline once again is QGshasha. Dives into the Dome Shield, takes a little bit of the flamethrower turret damage, but can they get the shutdown onto Ruckus? Killing spree for QGshasha, diving back to safety. Team Cryptik are trying to withstand on the objective. WarDoom is now established though. Turrets are going up. This could be good for Cryptik.
And the comeback mechanic as well is in their favor. So 4% of capture every tick instead of 3. This is going to get really bad for QG very quickly if they can't get back onto point. And of course, with how slow Torvald is, this could look good for Cryptik.
King Bomb is ready. Channel and charge. The Poppy execution is good. Straight to the backline. Sets up a triple stun. But will the follow-up be enough?
They get the point, which is the big thing. That created so much space for Torvald and Grok to get there. And now we're coming back to the fight, able to find doesupz, who is just a little out of position. And now you can see what QGshasha likes to do, jumping in, opening up these holes to get these frags, or at least just poke. And they find themselves now above 70%, nearing that 81 that Cryptik was stalled at.
Rising and zoning. Bomb King in trouble is shut down by Kusqt. but again, not stalled out just yet. Somebody has to go on the objective. 99%. The fire spit damage is good, but everybody stays alive on the objective. QG Craze capture 3-0 in 5 minutes and 10.
Cryptik is finding a little bit of momentum here with these team fights, which is key. The problem becomes QGshasha is so good at locking down where Kusqt is, and knowing Kusqt and how he likes to be aggressive, he wants to be greedy and find these little mini stuns off that reload mechanic. He just has not been able to convert it with any teammates around so far.
Certainly not, and now the aggression comes in again. Bomb King breaking apart the shields. Buck Wild activated by QGshasha, dives straight to the backline, looks for the shutdown on the doesupz, trying to follow up with a kill onto Evulli. Combustible missed, the fire spit not exploded. Kami picks up a double kill, double for QG Craze, and the payload starts moving.
Kami able to get so much damage done as Grok. We haven't seen a Grok do this much damage in I don't even know how long. It's been months, Fox. We last saw
He's so good at tracking.
Yeah, without being able to get the shock pulse off,
look at the
Grok
damage.
can really not do all that well. He's right there. He's second on the list, just behind QGuagua. QGshasha's there as well. Where's the damage for Cryptik?
It's just not coming out because Evulli provides so much of that, but they're under constant pressure from Buck. Then Bomb King, the tag team duo of these two mobile almost flankers with Bomb King there, are being so disruptive in the backline of Team Cryptik and forcing the focus fire elsewhere. Also bear in mind that all the while, still only one cauterize. All that healing QG Craze is keeping everybody alive. The ultimates are ready. Hyper beam off the map goes at least one. Pangge finds two. Can they find a third?
They're able to get their Hexafire just in desperation for doesupz. Able to pop the bear, finds himself 2 kills and starts to frag out, but the Ying is going to use that dimensional link, get out of that line of sight, and Barrack now taking over, getting his barrack set up, his turret set up as, of course, doesupz falls to the focusing power that is that lens from Ying.
And it's really important that the doesupz actually advanced away from the barricade, put himself in line of fire. Miscommunication from Team Cryptik being forced back to the base. Somebody's got to stall out the payload. Dome Shield is ready. Can they withstand? It goes down. WarDoom is staying alive. Out comes a Rage on the objective as well, but will it be enough? WarDoom falls. Kami gets the slay. QGuagua going in as well. Will they take down doesupz? Down they go. The payload pushes through. QG Craze claim victory in game 1.
This is nuts. This is just absolutely incredible to see 4-0, the game number 1. And again, it is Frog Isle, okay? We've seen 4-0 on Frog Isle almost exclusively all weekend long, but that was so surgical from QG. There was clearly a plan that Cryptik had to deal with the Torvald and Buck combination. It just did not get realized simply because everybody else on QG was helping the dream be realized of getting that Buck the opportunity to jump in. You can see the damage numbers coming out, 63,000 for Bomb King, but again, the 54.6k coming out of Kami, that's just absolutely nutty. And of course, he only dies twice, Ying only dies once. We talk about how surviving with your supports is key. That's a prime example.
Through the duration of that match, though, there was one name that we screamed time and time again. QGshasha on Buck. 2,400 credits, 12 kills, 11 assists throughout the duration of that game. Very few deaths for their aggressive playstyle, always supplemented by the rest of their team. Shift.
Yeah, he had an average KD of 3.2 yesterday, which is not stellar, but not bad. The thing about it is, his average of 88.8 thousand damage yesterday were really effective, like getting kills. That's the big thing. He jumps in, he knows exactly how to close on kills. So even though his average damage isn't the highest, as we've mentioned, Kami having it, he's the one getting up there and making sure that he has to be dealt with.
Let's talk about damage numbers then when we go into this. Buck typically dealing effective damage. You know, the hit scan, steady trickle of damage from maybe a Victor, a Tyra, even the Grok. That's gradual. That can often be healed up. Buck brings to the table burst, and even though he's dealing scatter shot damage at range, constant dismounts coming through from that shotgun, he's still going in, as we said, getting the kills. All of that number there is so impactful, so important. And as you said, a lower KDA, but they're also playing Buck, one of the most vulnerable champions to dive into the backline with, who can be shut down. We have seen previously. That game, though, no real answer.
No real answer whatsoever, and again, it has to come from somewhere. I mean, we saw an example of this when we were looking at what happened at the console. How do you go with the Acrobatics Pip? And it was an aerial assault ruckus that just got over him. How do you deal with somebody who's so mobile when he manages his cooldowns that well, has a recovery that he keeps himself sustained, and at the same time, he's able to poke and do damage to literally anybody on the field?
It's very difficult to deal with. I mean, picking it away would be the obvious choice just to remove it from the field, but does Team Cryptik have anybody who can play Buck to the same caliber as QG Craze?
I think that would be a very bold change in strategy for them. We have not seen them play a lot of Buck in the past. The interesting thing comes down to, is the Meldamba going to be enough? Kusqt has almost exclusively, including yesterday, exclusively played Meldamba. Would it be better to find somebody else that has a little bit more disruption to the flow, whether it's in the front line or if it's dealing more damage, maybe you take the Ying away?
I'm not sure if the Ying is the right answer, but Kusqt said whatever he plays, he's willing to play, well, any support pick.
True.
We've seen Pip, and you know what, actually, versus a few of the European teams, time and time again, we've seen some of the lower tier teams in the upper mid sort of capitalize on the ability for Evil Mojo to really shut down Buck when they dive into the backline. We know Kusqt typically plays Mega Push and Pip, but that ultimate could be a game changer. Then again, with QG Craze, how they've been performing so far, if Torvald isn't part of that Evil Mojo, protection goes on the Buck,
Exactly.
the chicken just survives.
And at the same point, his shield retains throughout most of that. So that's really, really key when it comes down to what effectiveness do you have. And again, we've seen Cryptik pull out the 3 frontline strategy in this tournament here. And again, that would give you the opportunity, I think, to give the Buck less targets. But at the same point, it has to be on the right map, in the right instance, with the proper team comp of the actual formulation of having a good damage dealer with those 3 frontliners, and of course a support that can stand at the same time. It's a tall task. I mean, this is giving everyone a headache here.
It certainly is. I mean, Cryptik, they have a lot of questions to answer, and I've got a few questions for Alan here as well. Most importantly, this is Dreamhack Valencia. This is our summer event for Paladins Shift, and we're seeing teams from all around the world come in to compete, but you know, it's the perfect time to talk about what else is coming up throughout the duration of the year post-Game 1. And I've got to ask you, what have we got coming up? What's going on?
Well, of course, you're looking at what's coming up for the fall. HRX is right around the corner, and of course, these teams are preparing for it immensely and looking to go for it. Let's take a look at what might be coming up in the next handful of months leading up to HRX.
Over 14 million champions have answered the call, taking up arms to defend the realm. And with so much incredible Paladins talent out there, Hi-Rez Studios is excited to provide a platform where the best of the best can outshine the rest. Today, we're announcing the $350,000 Paladins Global Series. This worldwide tournament series will provide consistent, high-quality competition for aspiring professional players to develop their skills, get noticed, and get paid for it. This is the biggest community esports tournament ever. We're inviting Paladins PC players in Southeast Asia, Russia, North America, Brazil, Latin America, Europe, and Oceania to compete in monthly regional tournaments backed with cash and crystal prizes. The first 3 weeks of every month will hold open bracket tournaments to qualify the 8 best amateur teams from every region, with crystal prizing for the winners. That means it's open to you and your friends, no restrictions, and no Paladins Premier League ringers to crush your dreams of esports glory. Then it's time for the monthly championship, with tens of thousands of dollars in prizing on the line worldwide. Form your team and get ready. Competition starts August 1st and runs for 10 months, with cash payouts at the end of every month. The $350,000 Paladins Global Series will be organized through a Facebook group, a link to which can be found in the description of this video. And games will be broadcast Monday through Friday. This is the largest community tournament series the gaming world has ever seen, and we hope you're as excited as we are. Looking for more info on the future of professional Paladins play? Stay tuned. We'll have more details on the all-new Paladins Premier League in the coming weeks. And for our Xbox One and PlayStation 4 players, the console wars will return this January at Hi-Rez Expo 2018, with a qualifying path to be announced soon. So whether you're a seasoned pro, a console master, or just starting out in the scene, there's never been a better time to jump into Paladins esports. The only question left is, do you have what it takes to be a champion?
My goodness, well, a lot of interesting things in that video, a lot of stuff for us to talk about potentially, and the thing that strikes me first of all is we talked about how you can find details about how to sign up. Make sure you keep your eyes on esports.paladins.com, which will direct you to paladinsworld.com, our officially partnered and official Paladins esports website, where you can keep up to date with the latest news coming out from all of our sources. Shift.
The question at the end was, are you ready for this? I don't know if I am.
Are you ready? Well, I don't know. Are our players ready? I'm certainly ready, or at least if I'm not, I'm going to do my best to be.
Well, exactly. This is really awesome, not only because there's been a lot of call just to have all of these other regions just included in that high-res feel, and this is exactly what I think everybody is looking for, not to mention the fact that we're going to see 8 teams in those finals come every single month. That's going to give an opportunity for a lot more of those teams that just quite couldn't make the cusp throughout those standings in the first 3 weeks. This is a really good opportunity for anybody out there just looking to get into competitive Paladins, period.
It's a fantastic pathway in, so get your friends involved. Start up your engines, start up your PCs. I don't know, I've got a fan in there that makes it sound like a jet engine, but folks, we'll come back to this a little bit later. The games are continuing. It's Cryptik versus QG Craze. Map number 2, Stone Keep, will be coming up next. And after QG's dominating performance, a 4-0 victory on Frog Isle, we'll have to see if Team Cryptik have anything in the tanks to try and turn that around.
You say tanks, and that's actually what I'm looking at when it comes down down to it is this Torvald has been really, really clutch. Not only with just being able to position and stay alive for as long as possible, but the fact of the matter is their shielding numbers have been absolutely nutty when you take a look at what's been happening, an average of 152,000 shielding a game. That's really big when you look at a Torvald. And as you look at a first pick, they've been known to do, as I say, the Bomb King first, just to, again, get that secure damage for QGuagua that's been so impactful when it comes to opening up space for Buck.
Now Cryptik, they immediately draft away Torvald. We remarked on the fact that do we want to see Buck stolen away? Potentially. Cryptik say no, that's not the key to this strategy. It's actually the field study Torvald which is causing the hurt. They take that away as well as the Ruckus. So again, getting their shields online. Maybe that'll spell the difference, but QG Craze, they have other ideas.
Let's just speak of ideas. What this means is if there's a field study on this Torvald, he's going to shield up Ruckus, most likely, and just be a pocket shielder. Then as soon as Torvald's shield goes down, you'll see a repulsor field come out to mitigate damage. This is a really good tandem play, just composition when it comes down to these two frontliners, especially with the Maldamba. Not afraid of this, though. They are still picking the Buck, and they grab a Makoa with it.
They certainly do. As you remarked, cooldown rotation so impactful for Torvald when they play. Bomb King, Makoa, Buck, and QG, they'll have to be very careful about managing those cooldowns, but Buck doesn't have to worry about Makoa anymore. Maldamba and Cassie picked up by Team Cryptik. I love the Cassie pickup versus the Buck. Has a lot of potential to win some duels unless Buck Wild is available just due to the incitement cooldown reset of dodge roll, which is commonly run in most Cassie loadouts to keep her hypermobile and away from the pressure. But to finish things off, Inara and Ying for QG.
This is interesting because I don't think we've seen QG play Inara yet, and with the final pick, picking up a Drogoz, which is that, again, that instant delete where Inara has a very tough time surviving through it because, again, lack of mobility. The only thing she really has to attempt to counter out a Dragon Punch, besides her positioning, is the impasse wall.
Impasse and wall jumps to try and go up and over, but Evulli is an experienced enough Drogoz to go for the mid-range of a champion, not down at their feet, where we sometimes see people fall slightly short. But Inara and Ying is a useful combination, and an interesting one here. We will assume for the time being, we'll have to verify this once in-game, that this may well be a Mother's Grace scenario. Inara, that increase in healing, we've seen Ying be hit by recent nerfs, which for a lot of teams thought removed her from the competitive scene. Now that's been disproven very well, but her lack of healing now, or her nerfed healing, that's being made up for very rapidly by the Earthen Guard.
The other interesting thing with the Drogoz pickup last in the face of that Ying again is if Evulli does go with the combustible, not only is that damage over time that will be impacting those illusions, but it also pushes them back. So if he can find control of that point with that Torvald and Ruckus, synergy-wise, like on paper, this is the picture-perfect draft for Cryptik when it comes to being able not only to get you what you've been doing well throughout your tournament, but throw a wrench into QG's system to see how much it will impact them to not have Buck get that natural shield. I imagine we'll see Buck die a lot more often, but the fact of the matter is he does have a lot of targets to go after if he stays away from Torvald and doesn't get silenced.
What's going to be impactful is, as you said, yes, if Torvald can get a Runic Blast onto Buck, it will shut them down. Similarly, Maldamba, a Snake Toss for the stun, very, very important. Early game Team Cryptik should have the counterplay to be able to take down a lot of QG. However, one instance stands out, and that's a specific item, which we've seen turn the tables actually back at the Masters LAN in favor of District 69 at the times. It was the solution to beating Bomb King?
Oh, that resilience, yeah. And again, that's one of those things that you really have to be careful about when you're drafting, is if you get all these characters that have a lot of crowd control, this game is unlike any other where you could just buy an item for cheap that says, all right,
200 credits.
Yeah, that's so simple. It's so simple to pick it up mid-game to get to level 2 very quickly. That's so big to get that time that you're spent either stunned or slowed or whatever it happens to be completely taken off the table.
Now we can't forget as well that resilience also reduces the impulse of knockbacks. So if we do see a combustible Drogoz run by Evulli for Team Cryptik and QG itemize heavily into resilience as well, all that displacement which is granted by the combustible's knockback effect will be reduced significantly, condensing everybody towards the objective. They can take more advantage of the cover from Inara's impasse potentially. And as the players do get ready, I've got to ask you, Shift, these compositions are tricky. They're different to what we've seen before. Team Cryptik have done something different by drafting away a critical member of QG's composition so far. Who are you giving the edge to?
It's tough. I think composition on paper, I have to give the edge to Cryptik, especially considering the map. Drogoz has the ability to trigger his ultimate around corners, behind trees, for essentially free, and then cover that distance for relatively no cost whatsoever because the map is so small to get to that Inara or that Makoa. Either of those options are very viable. The tricky part becomes you have to dodge illusions. We've seen so often these Drogos players that are not used to playing up against Ying will find her as being, my channel's coming close to being end and expiring, let me just go for the Ying, and she'll just dimensional link right away and you hit yourself an illusion.
It raised the question of potentially is Inara the best target for Drogos? Is maybe just taking the buck off the table so they can focus their fire spits towards the front line a better opportunity? But as you can see on the map right now, Stonekeep is loading in. The players are set and ready. And as we move towards the statues and towards where the bell will toll in these little clock towers of the spawn rooms, 5 seconds to go. QG Craze, the blue team, one up in this set. Team Cryptik, can they pull themselves back?
Need to find a way to get early momentum, set yourself up on point if you're Cryptik, and this is actually good. QG Craze is taking that perspective right side flank, that upper ground, but be careful, the impasse wall will actually block away the Torvald. doesupz is going to give some support from deep. Again, no fall off when that Cassie's using her bow at distance.
Oh, Buck brought down very, very low. doesupz looking for the damage, hitting the exaction shots. The dodge roll bonus damage coming through, but Inara stays alive. doesupz is being forced back here. Healed up by Maldamba, staying alive for the time being, and Buck gets out for scot-free as well. Behind her though.
Evulli finds first and second blood with a nice double kill. iDropBodies following up with a third, and that's the frontline pressure that Team Cryptik was so patient with and found it, converted it, and now they find themselves getting closer and closer to what QG stalled out at, 51%.
Already on the respawns. Got to be aware of the fact that Bomb King is still missing, biding their time very patiently. Ultimate charge not being gained much during this time, so expect King Bomb to not be available even if this point is contested for a while, but diving straight back in will be Buck. Evulli looking for the damage, is caught out by Bomb King, can't find the air shots. Combustible Fire Spit brings BK low. They may be forced out here, but all the while the objective is being contested.
And this is really good to split focus. Evulli says, all right, Bomb, you stay back there. I'm going to help out my team on point. We'll try to track down the Buck. He does not fall as of yet, though, and in fact, Shasha does pick up a kill onto the Cassie and looking to get into overtime and still clean up this point. A nice salvo will come through to finish off Mikasa. No dimensional link here, and iDropBodies with another. Overtime expires. Cryptik finds themselves the first point on the board.
Beautiful play, and Evulli as well running worm jets, not combustible on this map, looking for mobility to keep them alive. So far, working out in their stead. iDropBodies will be escorting the payload further and further forwards, but once this doesupz from behind finds the execution on the Panga, that's a big first kill. Looks for damage on the Bomb King, dodge rolls away. Will they be found around the corner? No, not followed. Staying alive, out of combat region coming through, and Kusqt throws a quick mending spirits to keep them topped up.
It was a good play, though, by Bomb King to not chase too far. That would have been an easy collapse for Cryptik. The Dreadstopper coming out from Kusqt, though. And the Hexafire right on the backside. It finds two as Evulli converts the kills. And that's a lot of damage funneling right in as these frontliners are on the retreat.
Look how aggressive Kusqt is being as well, slithering into danger to try and land a snake toss stun onto somebody, anybody. doesupz up towards the high ground. Kusqt looking for the gourd slows as players come out of the base. The snake toss is thrown out, misses. Impasse wall could be dangerous here. Gus being brought very, very low and will be slayed by Bomb King. Out comes the Hyper Beam. Does it throw anybody off? WarDoom gets one, but will it be enough?
Oh, King Bomb is also coming in and explodes right on impact on Evulli's face to say no thank you, but doesupz responds back and they can still contest the 30% movement speed. He finds himself a double. Looking for more now as the scout still active. He has that extra mobility, but not able to find the line of sight to capitalize.
Beautiful runic glass coming through as well. Half shell shield down, but immediately are being absorbed. This is dangerous for QG Craze. They cannot withstand the pressure that's coming out of Team Cryptik. Can they hold on? The kills keep on rolling. Frontline on the objective will keep things in contest. The Ying is being brought very low on health and there's a lot of danger of falling.
Oh, and Evulli able to capitalize. Buckwild has to be triggered, but it's not in time to get the kills. Cryptik finds themselves a very controlled 2-0 lead.
What a difference this team is with Torvald on their side. You see Evulli hitting for over 1,000 per rocket, landing the direct impacts. Even with worm jets, it's like a mini fusillade. Add the bonus damage from a successful fire spit connection in there as well. If Buck gets up in Evulli's face, Buck is going down.
Without a doubt, and he has not found really any success whatsoever. This is the more team-focused Cryptik that we saw all throughout yesterday. We had mentioned at one point during the broadcast, this is the best that each individual has played ever in their career, but let alone how that individual skill has transitioned into them just going up and above and surpassing what they've ever been able to do as a team before.
Back on your screen, an itemization between the two rounds, equalized in terms of offensive, which is the important part here. Got Cauterized 2 online for both teams, but notably Kusqt already sitting on a Chronos 2, so expect more gourds, more Mending Spirits, more slithers. This nimble monster will be a force of nature, but Dragon Punch comes through and finds Inara.
And that's a big pick, and now changing the focus as he tries to track down the Buck with the bounce house, too maneuverable as he's able to survive and just go up and over. And Panga, who's able to find himself a kill, Shasha comes back, and that's on Kusqt. This is really big, but iDropBodies is still here and trying to frag, finds himself 3, Torvald alive as well. These two frontliners are just absolutely ripping through his iDropBodies, is doing just exactly that.
Beautiful runic blast as well, just to secure the kill, and now doesupz pushes out to zone. Scout has activated movement speed bonus is granted, just throwing up poke shots towards Bomb King. The hope of finding somebody, but Ying is being forced back from the objective. 2-0 up. Team Cryptik do not have combat mechanic. They are capturing slower than QG Craze, but they're still holding the objective. doesupz needs to be careful of Bomb King though.
Yeah, and he's got that 13 streak too, which would instantly almost refuel. Shasha smells blood in the water. The sharks are out, but the Dread Serpent punches away, and iDropBodies once again with a Hexafire finds himself a double kill before falling, and now the baton's been passed to Evulli and doesupz as they look to capitalize, but QGuagua has something to say about it.
But no, still doesupz is here. Cassie finds the execution, looks towards Ying on the objective. Onslaught healing keeps them topped up, as does Kusqt, and down they go. Inara returns, but the runic blast shuts them down. Savage is doesupz right now on the top of this Cassie, and a force of nature in the face of QG.
WarDoom able to recharge up thanks to that shell again, and it's going to be both frontliners falling, but now it's stuff the damage dealers. Hyperbeam just to push people away from the point, just to make sure they can convert this overtime in effect, and more are falling.
Perfect. Again, the runic blast causing the impact. You say Buck should avoid Torvald to avoid being CC'd by that, but how can you avoid Torvald if you've got to contest the objective? Forcing QG Craze to play the Team Cryptik's tune, this North American squad is looking devastating in game 2.
This is a complete reverse of what we saw from the last game. It was all QG, and now the frontline pressure is just too much for them to handle without having any ability to shield anybody with that field study legendary from Torvald. Maybe this becomes the pick of the century throughout these last games, but we're getting ahead of ourselves. A little bit over 2 minutes until we get to that overtime period, and this is looking good for QG. They have a nice aggressive defense set up and looking for kills.
Big pull almost shuts down Kusqt, but again, the bubble from Torvald just stalls out all that pressure. QGuagua had a lot of trouble, goes in, but he's able to retreat now, being healed up by Ying for the time being. iDropBodies overextended, but what's this backdoor Cassie coming through? Will they be shut down? The shot's missed, doesupz stays alive around the corner. Scout was activated, granting them increased movement speed, and they do manage to stay alive for just a few seconds longer, forcing out extra mobility from Shasha and buying time for the respawns. Team Cryptik trade out 2.
This is not where you want to be stalled out, though. You can see the damage numbers are literally, again, flip-flop from what we saw last game, but still, this defense has not only just been solid, but it's sustained exactly where this payload is stalled out right now, and that's really good if you're a fan of QG, because that's the momentum they need to get back to that itemization loss that they're at the moment and get into this game.
Up to the high ground, potentially looks for Shasha on the objective. Evulli dropping the fast, but now gets pulled in by Makoa. No protection available. They do go down to Mikasa, but iDropBodies picks up another double kill. This guy just does not stop picking up multi-kills and fragging. doesupz is ready to push towards the base of QG Craze, who wait for the respawns to come through. They're reluctant to push out and give Team Cryptik an advantage.
Look who's behind, though. This is not who you want with a Bomb King ultimate. He will be sniffed out, but still doesupz is not here to help with the damage. Who's going to be able to survive with iDropBodies? This is a big opportunity again. There's just Ziggy Bomb after Stiggy Bomb connecting, and now with the Buck Wild in the backline, they're looking for those kills, but still the duel is happening, but QG is winning the team fights at the moment.
So far, and they are able to take the duel as well. doesupz goes down. QGuagua able to stay alive thanks to the healing coming out from Ying's Illusion Rift as well, and chases down Ruckus. iDropBodies tries to advance to safety. Will they be pursued? QGuagua looks to give this one up, but no chases in.
Both Buck and Bomb King are here. They're just committing and getting the calls, but it is punished. This is really big as they get lower and closer to 10 seconds until overtime. Now they have a number advantage. They can get full HP. They have a chance at getting to this overtime payload and converting.
doesupz is kept alive by protection there. Rolls in with that extra safety. Tries to get the onslaught, but what was that in the back door? Push straight through Team Cryptik. Kusqt?
Oh my goodness. I just saw it last second, just a silhouette through the spectator view going with that little back door. And that's the problem. If Buck and Bomb King are trying to be cheeky and get too aggressive, who's going to get back to point?
Who has the mobility? Ying has limited mobility based on her illusions. Inara, she's going to waddle her way there, and Makoa only has Shell Spin. Beautiful play. Team Cryptik. That was rude. So who's playing the Trick Sky on that team right now?
Yeah, right. Who's the sixth man? Where are they hiding at? Look at these stat lines. I mean, this is just such a complete game, capitalized with the backdoor from the boys from Cryptik. I mean, this is insane to see. Even still finding 105,000, shielding from WarDoom. Again, he just does not die, holding the best KD on his team at 5.46 average throughout yesterday. He gets himself 18-2 overall. That'll help that number.
But doesupz was really the one that was the star shiner throughout a lot of that game. 12 kills, 3 deaths, 14 assists as well, 67,942 damage. Exaction Cassie coming out strong, and without Torvald to keep Buck safe, those bonus damage shots were really hurting.
Oh, without a doubt, and doesupz has been absolutely clutch when it comes to the success of Team Cryptik in really a wide variety of situations. He's been able to pick up a Mako when that's not working out for his team. He's been able to pick up the Cassie because he's a Grandmaster's Cassie, probably one of the best in the game. And on top of that, we've seen him play Eevee, using the Winter Witch just to, again, put that backline pressure in. He's having an incredible, I mean, they're all having incredible tournaments. How can you sit there and point at one person?
I think, if anything, though, we have got to point at Torvald. That was a crucial steal away from QG. We've seen Bomb King be at the top contested pick. We've seen Ruckus be there as the top contested pick. Torvald made a huge impact that game. It's a shame that we can't see the damage amp stat there, because I'm wondering how much that did for doesupz in the backline during some of those duels. Really helped turn the tide.
And the Torvald had to be part of the strategy, right? Because this was Cryptik's map choice because they lost, and with that, they also have the choice of picking first or taking the second and third overall. So they forfeit the first, likely thinking that QG is going to have to take the Bomb King and then steal away their Torvald right off the bat, get the Ruckus combination. And again, iDropBodies with so many clutch Hexafires. You put an emitter on top of that, you put a field study on top of that.
You put a field study on top of a Hexafire. The amount of damage Field Study Torvald, folks, the legendary for Torvald, increases the damage granted to folks bubbled by that protection shield by 40%. Add that to an ultimate. That is a devastating force of nature. But we are ready for Game 3, all tied up. We've reduced this best of 7 set to a best of 5 at last. Let's see where we're going next in the round.
Frozen Guard. This is a very tricky pick. This is actually one where QG did not do so well against Kanga yesterday. I believe the score was 4-1 on that map. And this is, again, another interesting map where we typically say because that igloo, that ice castle right in the center, has very low entry points, not only with height, but the number of them, it's very difficult for a Buck to have an impact on the point. But the way they played him yesterday was just so flexible around the statues, around the wall side. They were just able to know and pick and choose what flanks they want to expose.
Which is very good, but also bear in mind as well that this is a map that we have seen Cryptik perform on phenomenally as well. Notably, doesupz Cassie being a very much an impact pick on this map, likely to come out again. The draft will be ready shortly. The crowd is ready, waving their hands, clapping those boomsticks together, but they're holding with bated breath to see where we will be heading next.
Yeah, and this is, again, really comes down to where does the strategy in the draft go from here? I mean, it was a QG in day number 1 saying, we're going to take Buck first or second.
Right.
And if you're going to try to counterpick us, we're going to force you to have to take the Buck away from us. Never happened. It happened only one separate time, and it didn't work out so well. And now it might be the pick of Torvald. I mean, do you first pick a Torvald? When was the last time we saw a Torvald in competitive, let alone a first pick?
These Eldritch Speed 4 is way back into the meta like that, but it does raise the question of Buck and Bomb King and Drogo's also highly contested picks. We've often seen Drogo's and Bomb King go into separate teams. On a map like Frozen Guard, there's so much open, empty space. Drogo's is relatively vulnerable here. Evulli had a stellar game on them previously, but is the Bomb King more valuable?
That's a very valid question. There's a lot of things that can be thrown into the discussion when it comes to Frozen Guard. Of course, we could do, hell, a Kanessa could be coming out here for all we know. And that would be really big as well, as far as taking a Wrecker and maybe just shredding down that Torvald very quickly. There's a lot of questions, and I think QG is going to answer some of them with their first pick. It will still stay as Bomb King. Does Cryptik go with the Torvald?
They value his majesty. I mean, doesn't everybody in the realm?
I do.
The punishment for not is relatively severe, but still, it's been an impact pick throughout the duration of this tournament. Cryptik, follow with Ruckus and Torvald. Once again, just the shielding from both of these champions, too invaluable to give up. And after iDropBodies' previous game on Ruckus, we can certainly say that this is a pinnacle of their play.
Yeah, and again, that combination of just a field study and everything else coming in is really big, but this is a very good counterplay. Take the Drogos away. You have so much area damage that you can funnel into the point for relatively free, and on top of that, these are two of the best characters in the game to apply Wrecker.
Now, the big issue that this actually presents is that Cryptik are left with a conundrum. They know that QG could potentially run point stack here. They could take a Barrack and a Ying. The deployables placed inside that point will be so difficult to deal with without the area damage from Bomb King and Drogus. Now, previously, Cryptik have taken maybe an Eevee to look towards some area damage at least, or at least an Ice Storm to be able to shut down somebody like Ying, to remove them from the field, and then those illusions will disappear anyway, as with Barrack and their turrets. But will that be enough in this circumstance? But actually, it's an Inara last pick which comes through from QG. Yeah,
and again, that's really good, the impasse on this map. I wouldn't be surprised to see them go bold here and take a Kanessa. They have the opportunity to go, but it will be in Drox. I was going to say, another good flanking hit scan character. The big question is, if they do not find capitalized kills onto Bomb King or Drogos, this is going to be very difficult for them to stay on point.
It'll be very difficult for them to find those flanking kills as well with Buck's counter-flank pressure. Of course, Buck with the heroic leap and bounce has run as the legendary of choice for both Shasha and QGuagua throughout the duration of this tournament. They're going to have hyper mobility. If anybody is under pressure in the backline, Buck doesn't just have to play offensively, they can play defensively, and as well they can respond very quickly to those threats.
Yeah, and that's really key as far as the mobility goes, and with, again, how important teamwork has been, especially for QG. If they can rotate and help each other out, they're going to have a very much better time, rather, to deal with an Androxus who might find themselves a cheeky flank or a Cassie at long range who might just need that little bit of pressure. And again, this is big for Buck too, because all of that poke damage that can come out from the burst characters of Bomb King and Drogos will mean that Buck will have a lot of low targets where he can jump on. And we might just see a very explosive Buck in coming out.
Very much so. So going through, last pick for Cryptik was Androxus. Now we've seen iDropBodies perform stellar on this pick at times, and less so at others, but on a map like Frozen Guard, do they bring enough to the table? They suffer severely from damage fall-off, and Frozen Guard is very open.
I feel like the other question with that, and I'll leave that rhetorical for now.
Please.
But the other question is, do you really afford to take iDropBodies off of Ruckus after having such an incredible, phenomenal game with the Hexafire? Of course, doesupz is able to do so, but it's just an interesting question if
Then
that's been the thought.
So many questions to be raised, and as we go through the map intro cinematic, we'll see exactly who is where. iDropBodies is indeed on Androxus, just rocking, by the looks of it, the Exalted Pistol, as well as the Wreck Spray. They're ready to put that to work. QG Craze do rush towards the objective, but Torvald far out in front, rocking the Master Riding.
And that's really big as far as getting himself established. Androxus coming on the right side flank as he moves through the statue side, now in the back line. We'll try to find him. Oh, what a clutch airborne sticky from QGuagua for first blood.
And now the problem is the team, Cryptik, as they find a double kill, have overextended. They force themselves into the objective thinking that they'd get the first blood, but now a man down, they cannot withstand the pressure. QGuagua goes up, looking for Kusqt. Kusqt almost frags him out. One more shot, the Snake Toll shuts them down. Bubble by Torvald. Kusqt, what a player.
That's just a big statement saying, get off me, QGuagua. I can handle my own. I don't care if I'm a support. I'll still find a way to frag while healing up my teammates. 57% though for QG Craze, but the frags are starting to come in for Cryptik.
Good retake coming through, and doesupz looks for Drogs in the back line, gets hit by the fast spot. Kami cleans them up, and Evulli on the objective now has to contend with the Bomb King, throwing continual shots through, as well as Drogo's Ying still not dead as well, and Buck dives in to shut down WarDoom.
And that's a really big positioning change as Shasha sees that WarDoom is on the retreat. No mobility again for Torvald, so he says, I'll take that fight. And he wins it very successfully. Now trying to find the flank pressure. 87% and counting. Cryptik has to commit 4 on 5.
They've got to rush back in. Somebody's going to go there. Ruckus is the tankiest on their team currently, and Shasha could be in trouble here. Dragon Punch is countered by Kami. Finds iDropBodies again. Drogos, it's just not your day, but Kami has met Kusqt. Can the Snake fund the outtrade? No! They go down. Killing spree for Drogos, and still the objective is being contested. It is led by Team Cryptik now. Overtime is ticking, but no, QG Craze, they've got the retake. Big Runic Blast comes through, but Kami shuts them down.
Not enough survivability of WarDoom on this Torvald by himself. He needs help if he's going to be this Torvald. You cannot succeed with Torvald when he's just by his own. You need to have somebody else with him, whether it is Ruckus or whether it is Kusqt on the Damba. A really big point, though, for QG Craze. They found the damage that we said they need to when it comes to funneling into that point. If they can continue to do that on this payload push, it might look like a good 2-0 chance.
Absolutely. Now they are faced with a bit of a predicament. They have to force themselves through a narrow choke point, and potentially Team Cryptik do have the opportunity to fight at close range here and force Drogos and Bomb King into circumstances where they do not want to be. iDropBodies can then capitalize. So far, the Androxus player not having the most stellar of games. Let's see if they can turn that around, but again, QGuagua shuts them down.
And pushing right through the mines with no reserves whatsoever. 4 players coming through. A huge stun coming up for QGuagua, and that's going to open up the door for all the rest of his teammates to get the damage in. A full team wipe coming out for QG Craze.
Just stood there at the end. iDropBodies accepts their fate and also wants to be back in the respawns as quickly as possible. Does anybody dare brave potentially that sticky bomb trap? They do, and it will be iDropBodies who does at least get themselves on contest. QGuagua's ready. King Bomb is here. It could be channeled. Out comes the Dread Serpent as well to try and stave off some of the pressure. And now King Bomb channeled under the arches. In they go. Stuck on a wall though. Missed channel. Will they get the explosion off? Still contesting, but Evulli is stunned out. Down goes doesupz. The payload about to roll through. Will iDropBodies sustain? Double kill for QGuagua.
100% calculated. 100% calculated. He said, well, all the damage is coming in right now. I'll just hit this wall, then I'll hit these crates, and then by the time the channel's about to explode, I'll just kill 3 people.
What was interesting as well is that they managed to get the King Bomb to explode just after Repulsor Field went down from Ruckus. So actually, calculated may have been the name of the game there.
It very well could have been. And this, whether it is or not, effectiveness is what rings in the minds of everyone watching at home, and of course here as it gets all of that damage done and finding a big double kill to push that through. This is, again, just back and forth, team play versus team play. Who's going to come up on top? This comp is working out so nicely for QG.
It certainly is, and Cryptik have to find a response to it so far. Let's head back into the game screen. We will see the itemization on your screens. Offensive has been matched, not for WarDoom notably, who has been taken down so swiftly that they've been unable to get a level 2 item online for themselves. So QGmikasa riding online first. Jaguar on the outside of the fight, throws out a grumpy bomb to zone the objective. Out comes Taxifier. Will that be enough?
Everyone just pushes themselves right away. Very smart for QG, but whoa, that big reversal sent back. Kami takes that, and that's going to look good as doesupz finds himself 2. And now back on the point, iDropBodies is going to try to frag out for the last final kill. Looking for the box, has to put reversal up once more, and will find the headshot by iDropBodies.
Perfect play there at the end, and now iDropBodies sets out the zone, and even though they haven't had the most impact so far in this fight, this is where the hit scan pressure of Androxus, even at range, pays off. Dismounts come through, Team Cryptik capture, no contest there in round number 2. Maybe they found a way to stabilize.
But this is where the defense is going to be very strong for QG because they can sit back for free, throw out sticky bombs, throw out fire spits, and just get secured damage done. While QGshasha just looks and says, all right, let me find the next low person to possibly jump onto, let my teammates take the load from here. And again, look at this positioning that you can see right on top of this platform. Inara is here, that impasse wall really could be devastating to splitting up the team.
What's very important as well for QGshasha is that they do dive in now. Impasse, as you said, did split up the teams, but actually, no. Manga put themselves in a very vulnerable position with that, blocking themselves off from the rest of their squad. doesupz can capitalize along with Kusqt. iDropBodies picks up 1, picks up 2, gets a double kill, big reversal, 2,000 damage straight into the Ying as well. So much pressure. Ying eliminated Bomb King, forced out Evulli, picks up a double kill of their own. QG Craze have no leg left to stand on as the payload approaches their base.
And they have to group up. You can see them doing that in their spawn right now, getting themselves mounted. They're actually splitting the focus a little bit, but sniffed out for this is Evulli right in front, trying to get the damage done, finding a lot onto Inara, and still has the angle. Emitter pops up just to keep him alive, and now Aerial Assault jumping back and forth. It's enough, and the push is successful, because Inara cannot contest.
Hyper Beam as well, just there at the last second from WarDoom, came out clutch, recognizing when Earthengard was down. Team Cryptik finding the stabilization not just in their play, but also in communication, recognizing that now is the time to act when CC immunity is not on the board, and equalizing things all up, tied 2-2, 1-1 in the set so far. Shift, we got ourselves a Paladins.
We got ourselves a big Paladins. This is exactly what we want to see. Evulli, again, we've been relating him. He's been playing Bomb King and Drogos almost exclusively. Where does he go? He says, boys, I'll take up the ruckus.
He brings the ruckus.
He brings the ruckus, all the noise.
Certainly does, and the crowd certainly brings the noise as well here at Dreamhack Valencia as we ready ourselves for capture number 3 of map number 3. Again, itemization coming out. Level 3 for Team Cryptik this time, but QG Craze stuck at level 2 for their offensive, going instead into some supplementary damage reduction in the form of Haven. WarDoom, though, walled off in a lot of danger here. Grumpy Bomb stun will connect. Dragon Punch is channeled, finds Torvald, immediately man advantage to the team in blue, but no, traded out by doesupz.
He's doing so well at hitting these airborne shots, now trying to frag out as he sees the buck in front of him, but coming back very wisely to his team. iDropBodies is the one on point, giving some pressure to Ying, though Inara also falling very low. Again, that sustained healing does not bring much burst. Ooh, and iDropBodies finds that nice little nether step shot onto QGshasha.
Is shut down eventually by Bomb King, but QGuagua, what can they do? 1 versus 4 on the objective only. Drogo's now respawning. Team Cryptik hold the advantage, even though 45% was captured. But again, QGuagua around the peripheral of the objective. We've seen this before, and King Bomb is ready. This could turn the tide if Cryptik aren't aware, and they don't appear to be. They got their backs to the wall. 60% are rising. King Bomb channeled in. They go. Torvald in trouble.
Not looking for the Torvald, though. Actually uses to reposition back towards his team. Not the worst thing in the world, because you want to have effective damage, whether it's coming out of the ultimate, but that's really big as he's able to find part of 2, looking for Kusqt. A nice airborne double kill.
Doesn't manage to find the stun off of King Bomb, but Seismic Crash from Inara is perfect follow-up, forcing everybody out through a choke point. Sets up a massive stun. No resilience taken by Team Cryptik. They all fall down. 96% rolls through 99 and capture. QG Craze lead 3-2 at 8 minutes and 36.
This is really, really tight. But this is the second time that we've seen QG Craze either hit a Bomb King or a Dragon's Punch and then say, I don't want to use it here. I'm going to die after exploding it. This absolutely brilliant dedication to staying as a team. And it goes to show, once again, as an example, that when they're 4 versus 5, it's just not influential enough. They want to have all 5 up no matter what the cost.
Team Cryptik on defense now. They need all 5 members up. They can't afford to drop a single one. We saw how swiftly Craze pushed through previously, and now Team QG looks at the same thing again. Grumpy Bomb buys some space. Nice dodge around the payload, but actually still hit. Bubble twice with the Knitter, and the Torvald will keep them safe for the time being. But now QG Craze push in. Dragon Punch is channeled ready, looking for somebody, going straight in for the Ruckus. Chases them down, gets the slay onto Evulli. Staying alive, Kusqt can't box them out in midair. Who's going to take them down?
Nobody
Kami
is the answer. No one is the answer. You're able to get back, and now a nice being illusion to get him back to full HP. What effectiveness and just maneuverability from Kami. That's why he's the big damage dealer that we rarely call his name, but again, those plays right there is why he's helping his team.
And Kami is such a consistency for QG Craze. We remark on so much about Shasha or Guagua, but all the time, they're just dropping damage. They're bringing the targets low so they can capitalize on kills. Kusqt in trouble, goes at the airborne Dread Serpent, hits Drogas in midair, but no capitalization, no follow-up, and again, the Drake stays alive.
And this is not good for the side of Cryptik. They don't have that big fear ulti, but still kills are coming out in the back line, and now iDropBodies and doesupz looking to get aggressive, pushing right into that underpass. If they can find one more pick, it would be huge, and they know if they commit. Nice airborne shot from doesupz, looking for more. He will be able to survive and very wisely dodge roll back to safety.
Right, absolutely. Just not overextend in that circumstance. Recognizes that with 45 seconds left on the clock, QG Craze have at least 1 to 2 more potential pushes, having itemized into Master Riding here. Does not want to overextend and give something up, but again, Team Cryptik are caught on the wrong side of the choke point. They've got to start retreating as QG Craze advance through. QGshasha setting up some shots initially, poke onto iDropBodies. Very out of position, reversal is channeled, but easily shut down. Misplay from Androxus.
You make one small mistake, QG will punish, and now it's a 5-on-4. They're moving in, but the shield really big on Cassie as doesupz is able to find one frag. That's Bag is now Bomb King is right in his face, and able to get the help from Kusqt to box out, and now in the backline for free. Keeping these damage dealers away from the payload is key as we get down to below 3 seconds till overtime. Numbers favoring Cryptik.
They do so far. Respawn Proxy granting them the advantage, but even so, the frags picked up by Cryptik towards the end there. So crucial. All tied up 3-3, 11 minutes and 8 seconds in on Frozen Guard. It's an even game once again, but once we get back to the scoreboard, it could come down to ultimates there. Cryptik were very close on a few of their members and even having some in hand.
That's really big, because again, we saw that Dread Serpent really wasn't used as most effectiveness, but again, staying alive, healing, doing a little bit of damage, gets that Dread Serpent closer and closer to that full charge.
Also, really crucial, Kusqt, whilst they haven't found the efficacy off of Dread Serpent many times this game so far, they have off of Ripened Gourd. Notably, Cassie boxing out with Bomb King on the high ground in the tunnels previously was, the Bomb King was slowed down by Ripened Gourd, was easier to confirm shots on. Cassie, if they are fighting versus immobile targets, so much more effective, less chance on aim there, and is able to confirm so much more damage. Interested to see those stats post the game, but one last round to go, folks. 12 minutes in, who's going to come out on top?
The resilience is going to be big in this team fight, especially considering the seismic crash and the King Bomb are here. Does QG have the awareness to know that that's their own Guagua? Where are you going?
Very far from out. Actually, Poppy Bomb to continue the displacement. And oh my goodness, pushed away by Torvald, shut down. iDropBodies takes out Kami, and the double kill on the Shasha. Following that train now has a Curse down ready, but it may not even be necessary. And Nara falls so quickly. The Stone Warden, you'd think that she was made out of Play-Doh, not cement, and instead we see Evulli push out to zone here to prevent the respawns from coming through on their Master Riding mounts.
Not at all over for Team QG. Of course, they're going to be fighting uphill, taking a lot of damage, trying to get the point, but they've done it before. We saw them do it against Kanga on ice mines of all maps. They can do it again here. Just 60% for Cryptik. All 5 are still up for Craze. You see the Illusions are doing their job of trying to keep everyone sustained throughout this push, and now they have an opportunity to break the door. The King Bomb, oh, but with a Hexafire right in his face!
Absolutely perfect, and even if Evulli goes down, the damage is done. Dread Serpent comes through. Can Buck do anything in here? Bounce House keeps him alive, and iDropBodies picks up a rampage. 5 in a row, and down goes Kami. 99% at overtime. Ying has been obliterated. QG Craze have met their match, and Team Cryptik, will they do it? They gain victory in Game 3.
What incredible gameplay, and hitting the trigger on that Hexafire while the King Bomb was literally just a touch away, and able to get that CC immunity while still putting out all that damage, resulted in Guagua falling, able to turn the focus as iDropBodies is able to come in and capitalize on some low health pulls, and that man on the right side, Kusqt, able to heal everybody up. No one else had a chance of dealing damage.
Absolutely incredible game, and as you said, came down to the wire there with the Ruckus Hexafire CC immunity. If that King Bomb had gone off half a second earlier, been channeled with the manual detonation instead of the contact detonation earlier, it would have been crucial, but on the screen you see your scoreboard right there. Again, Kami for QG, a consistency throughout this game, 13, 8, and 14 with 96k damage on Drogos. The rest of the team, though, falling very short. The next highest, Bomb King at 58, then everybody else under 40k.
Yeah, and 133% more healing coming out for Kusqt over the Ying, and that's the big storyline coming into this, is that QG has not been able to heal nearly as well as Maldamba has been able to do, and that's just, again, the big storyline of why Kusqt is so impactful.
Yeah, Kusqt, 3 deaths in that previous game. Look at their eliminations, 25 and 96k healing. Staying alive throughout the duration of that game was how he played, and Bandana seems to be doing some work. It might not be the NA flag, but Team Cryptik looking strong after that Frozen Guard match.
Yeah, this is really good momentum. Again, we talked about it in day 1 when they were down 2 maps. You let Cryptik get momentum, they are very, very dangerous. You saw it happen not only on day 1, did not just see it only on day 2, but now that's 2 maps in a row. 4-0 and a 4-3 in that fashion. This is looking good for Cryptik at the moment, but again, this isn't all that QG Craze has. We've been told before that this is one of the strategies they bring to the table. Where might they go from here, I think, is the big question, or will they continue to try to get this Buck online?
Somewhere, anywhere, something different. The Buck so far, once without being paired with Torvald,
yeah,
really falls quite quickly. Now, we know that they have a devastating Androxus in their pocket. There's been legendary talk about this from the boys of QGhasha Esports, and I'm wondering if that might be a solution. We've seen so much mobility come out from champions like Cassie and Drogos from the squad of Team Cryptik so far. Androxus, the Edgelord of the Skies, might be enough to shut them down. We'll see.
Or possibly a Cassie as well. We saw Sasha jump onto the Cassie,
Absolutely.
and they still used Buck by QGuagua. So again, there's an opportunity there. Looking at map number 4, we'll be on Fish Market, which is really a good map for both of them, to be honest. And especially Torvald. I continue to see Torvald has to be a pick here.
Absolutely. I mean, there's no way not. The environmental hazard itself makes it work, with Hyper being less resilience, heavily itemized into, but also just protection. So much value on this map as well. We've seen it come out time and time again, but Fish Market is a map where mobility is king. Split verticality lends itself towards champions which can rise up and down, just as both of these teams have throughout the duration of the tournament here at Dreamhack Valencia, and we'll have to see which one will be able to do so here on Fish Market. Will Team Cryptik take a lead by 2 games and put themselves on the cusp of victory, or can QG even things up?
My big question, I think, when it comes to QG is, now that the Torvald's in contest, is there potential of switching off Ying? Because Ying does well when Torvald is out of his shield because his health pool's not very large, so that effective healing could go somewhere else until that shield comes off, and then it can focus onto the Torvald. If you do not have Torvald, do you pick up a Ceres, or do you steal away the Damba just because you're going to get more burst healing out of either of those two than you will from a Ying?
Well, support seem to dictate the pace of the game so significantly throughout all of these sets, and as we've seen time and time again, if you don't manage to shut them down, well, they lend themselves to really keep everybody alive, as is their intended nature, but specifically without pressure on them, we're seeing teams fall time and time again, except QG. Ying often the last player to fall in those team fights on Frozen Guard. The healing output not as valuable, as we said, without the rest of the kills coming through first.
And that was the big thing as we looked to what happened yesterday and the day before, was QG brought more shielding than any other team did to this tournament by using that Torvald so effectively. They also brought some of the lowest healing this tournament because, again, they're just using a Ying and sometimes Grok, but again, he's not being used for his heal. He's being used for that shock pulse slow, which allows Buck to move more freely. So I don't want to say that this has been a one-trick pony kind of composition. It has been all 5 characters in that composition being the one instance of effectiveness, and I think there needs to be a change-up because Cryptik's figured it out.
They have so far, but again, Cryptik diving the backline very often, so I'm wondering if the conversions might be the answer. We'll have to see. Draft coming on your screens very shortly, but in the meantime, Shift, so far support's very indicative of how the games will end up going. Kusqt having impact on Maldamba, 2 games in a row at least now. Is that potentially something to steal away by QG?
I think you have to at least consider it. I mean, he's been the monster healer of this week. He's put the hospitals in Valencia to shame with how much healing he's been able to do. It's incredible. The numbers he's able to get game after game after game. Doesn't matter the length. There was one in particular, there was like a 6-minute game that we were at, and he was at almost 9,000 healing. It's just ridiculous what he's able to do by himself to keep his team alive. And
it's really important that we do consider that. Torvald goes to one, maybe Maldamba goes to the other. Will we see a first pick support for the first time in forever? But who knows? Who knows? Frontline so far and supports have been the topics of conversation. Flanks as well, very heavily yesterday so. But what about our damage pickups for these teams? Cassie now seems to be doing very, very well. Bomb King for QG, 3 games so far this set. Is it working?
It's not. Just outside of Frog Isle, they have the 1-4-0 on their side, and again, that was the big topic of conversation when they played Kanga, was whoever held the Bomb King was winning the games up until the very end. So actually, Cryptik has first pick here as they move through. This, again, was QG's map choice, so they're saying, we'll take the second and third. They seem to, again, this strategy shows me that they really do want that Torvald. I think the discussion point is, does Cryptik just say, well, let's go right in and take it? That's going to be the big speculation.
Oh, first pick Torvald could come out then. Cryptik contemplating their decisions. Picks available shortly once again, folks. But again, you mentioned Bomb King not having the same effect. Torvald may be stolen away. Evulli on your screen right now has been primarily playing the Blaster players. Talk to me about that switch to Ruckus in the previous game. How did that feel for you?
It felt great. And again, this was the big thing when we were talking about a number of different players who come in as the primary blast damage champions, playing Drogoz, playing Bomb King. Where do they go when neither of those are available? That time through, we saw him play Ruckus. And again, Evulli has been the big force of damage for his team, able to get up to near 74,000 average a game, which is absolutely massive when you take a look at that. But the other side of things, too, that Cryptik really has going for them, and this is strange because both Kami and Evulli, who are the big two damage dealers, are some of the least talked about players. And it will be, again, as I say, Torvald the first overall selection.
Bomb King and Cassie taking them by QG. They don't want to give doesupz Cassie enough. That performance in the last two games, I can see why. Dealt with Bomb King very effectively, especially with Field Study on their side. But Cryptik, they dropped the Buck and the Ruckus. Okay, this gets style points.
Oh, if this is almost insult to injury. It's one of those things that I'm just currently thinking of. Anything you can do, I can do better. That's the attempt here.
We'll have to see. QG still sticking with Ying, though. They know what they know there. They're getting Ying and Grok, so a lot of sustain on the objective if utilized correctly. We've seen it be very effective in previous rounds, but will it do so again? I do like the Ying pickup in the face of Buck, however. Resonance makes it very difficult for Buck to dive in and immediately get a slay on the support.
I was interested for a second with QG not taking a frontliner yet, if Cryptik doesn't get bold and take another big body frontliner away, just because it is going to be the solo frontline, and actually they're picking the Ashe, which seems strange to me because, again, with how much she moves with that shoulder bash and the displacement she brings with the big kinetic burst, she likes to get in people's faces. She likes to be away from the central point where a Grok and a Ying will be set up. So how much healing is she really going to get?
It's going to be tricky, and as we load into game, Fish Market seen on your screens right now, the moss-covered wood setting the tone of this map. Hidden away in the enchanted forest, the players are set. As we get into our game camera, it's iDropBodies on the Buck. The correct weapon and the right spray. And there we go. There's the spandex we've been waiting for.
It's the spandex we need, but maybe not the spandex we deserve.
Very true, very true. We'll have to see how the rest of the players line up as we do get further and further into the fight. High ground advantage taken. Torvald rushes to meet their enemies. Watch out for maybe a runic blast. Big fire spit gets thrown out, but the shielding is enough from Ashe for the time being to keep that at bay. Looking for some initial poke. Bodies goes up, but is very hesitant in their play. Nice and cautious now, looking for Grok on the other side of this fight. No, Ashe, whose shoulder bashes away, and so far, no real advantage to either team.
No first blood as of yet. Shasha's over here on the flank, has a target low in front of him, but the Torvald is here to help and able to get this Torvald online and get that blast in the face. It's really dangerous. Ashe falling very low. Could this be where first blood is? And it will be. doesupz finding one. Evulli finding the Ying is going to put out two. And Evulli with another. That's both supports down. Makes that 4 for 5 so far. No one dead for Cryptik as of yet.
Phenomenal play from the team in blue. QGuagua just retreating towards their team, trying to maybe shut down this block, because they do find them over there. Getting a couple of lob shots, might be able to take out iDropBodies, but forced away by the incoming pressure from the rest of Team Cryptik, who rally in response. 63% and climbing for the team in blue. QG Craze must find their way back onto the objective, and Ashe will be the one to do so. Grumpy Bomb will buy some time and space for the time being, but 74% already for Kusqt on Dread Serpent. This could really change the scene of this objective fight if readied in time.
Without a doubt, and of course, this Mel Damba has two really easy targets to hit, not only with Gord, but also Mending Spirits. The Torvald and Ruckus, big targets to pocket heal up, able to do a very good job as Shasha is not able to get enough damage to take out both, just one. iDropBodies able to straight out with QGuagua as well, so again, 99% for Cryptik, and Evulli with a huge fire spit, and Salvo combo the Dread Serpent, coming with the Dragon's Punch as well, will look over the first, but does find an illusion.
Oh no, blocked out, but still gets Mikasa anyway. Team Cryptik capture the first objective of this game on Fish Market, and now lead 1-0.
Looking really solid. Evulli having a lot of room to work with. No one's been pressuring him whatsoever, and really, who's going to? It has to be Grok at close range, or of course Cassie at distance, but again, we've seen time and time again a lot of Cassie struggle to hit such a maneuverable target in the air, although here we're seeing some high-level Cassie gameplay.
Look at the escapability of that Buck as well. Again, protection goes on. They have a 2,000 health shield. That's enough to buy some time in midair. Dive straight on in. Kusqt, very risky play. Cassie around the outside. The fight could be in trouble. Buck wild activated by iDropBodies, but misses the heroic leap. Can't find the damage follow-up. Ultimate has been wasted, and QG Craze can find the opportunity to stabilize on defense as they have.
But good thing to not be stubborn and just say, I'm going in anyways. My ultimate's activated. He hits his head on that bridge and says, all right, opportunity's closed. Let's regroup. Let's get back in, find a pick. Ash might be that pick, and Kusqt will convert it. But Shasha's here on the left looking for damage as well, but so much of it being mitigated away by shields, repulsor fields, and just heals alone as WarDoom finds another on QGkami. The Grok not getting online as of yet.
That was Hyper Beam as well. You can see 1% charge for WarDoom right at the beginning of this, and now continuing to push the payload. Shield back at full. WarDoom in prime position to really disrupt this fight with their Runic Blast and protection. Jaguar sets up some initial lob shots over the top. Grumpy Bomb is thrown out, waiting for a stun opportunity. Ash channeling shoulder bash. King Bomb channeled as well, looking for a kill in the back line. Sets up a stun onto Ruckus, but Emitter was active. They stay alive.
And the repulsor field as well. Of course, the protective bubble will come out. It will find kills, though, as QG Craze is following up very nicely, chasing down now the Torvald, who's on a really bad spot, will sit here and accept his death, although is still staying alive somehow. Kusqt tried to do the same. It looks like it's not for anything, though, as, of course, you see WarDoom falling, and Kusqt still very low, is trying to escape with his life, and he's being chased out. Nice follow-up from Shasha to get 2.
Cassie finding the double kill, looking for a triple kill maybe, but not overextending. QG Craze now with some respect for their opponents will recognize how devastating Cryptik have been, and with 30 seconds left on the clock, they are very pushed forwards. Must be content to just regroup if necessary and retreat from this objective. The fresh respawns out of Cryptik could mean trouble. Buck dives in, doesn't find any purchase. Jaguar sets up around the peripheral, but throws a Grumpy Bomb to cover their retreat most likely as they do get ready to reconvene on the payload. Torvald's already there trying to backdoor this.
This is good because Torvald's going to force everyone to come on back. Tempest will be activated to get the extra movement speed to get more on that defensive position, but of course also bringing health sustained. The Evulli, though, is now here to follow up. iDropBodies does go down himself, but still, we have the core 3 still here. Hexafire from downtown to push everybody back. There are enough people dead where they do have a chance, does Cryptik, to push this through, and they still have a Dread Serpent.
Dread Serpent is ready. As we said, Runic Blast can be used to shut Ying down here. Out it comes, forcing everybody away. The payload trying to push through. Deep Cryptik convert. 2-0, 5 minutes and 30.
What great displacement. Kusqt holding not only onto that ultimate for the right exact time, but finding the right target and pushing people directly away from the payload, giving his fraggers a chance to jump on, get those kills while they're feared, and of course letting that payload inch forward.
Beautiful play. But you know what really was interesting to remark on during the duration of that push? Incremental use of ultimates. We'll use one here, we'll use one here. Starting off with a Hyper Beam to be able to force at least one kill for WarDoom, and then coming in with a Hexafire as well. It's maintaining and conserving momentum. Once we're on a roll, let's keep up the pressure. Let's maintain our own tempo. Let's not give our enemies a chance to stabilize. Very effective so far.
Extremely effective. That's leading to the 2-0, and Kusqt again finding himself on the double Chronos. Evulli with the double on the morale boost and a couple instances of master riding, while QG Craze is stuck on just level 2 of their offensive items.
They've all got full cauterized, so they're respecting Kusqt's healing. That's very important and could be beneficial the later this game goes. Of course, the Snake being able to judge when their allies haven't been hit by cauterized communication is key there. Recharge comes on the Sheet Shield. Ash to the back line, looks for some damage towards maybe Drogo's. Come on, let's fight, they say. Force into their ultimate. A Runic Blast. Potentially, they're caught out of danger, taking a lot of damage. This should be a kill, unless WarDoom gets chewed through here. And there it is. Hyper Beam off the map as well. What a play!
What an incredible play just to push everybody away. Does not actually find the Grok through that somehow. And this is going to look good. But again, QG has controlled the point. They're up to above 78% because everyone from Cryptik has been focusing on this Ash.
93, 97. Oh, now just about stalled out, but it's Ruckus who goes in to take over as iDropBodies will fall. Does doesupz have the ability to close out the kills? Dancing around is Cassie in the backline, dropping a lot of damage, but down goes a Gordon. doesupz back at full HP. Dragon Punch comes through as well. King Bomb onto doesupz, but once again, WarDoom is here to take over. The stun from Grumpy just doesn't matter, and doesupz keeps themselves mobile up in the air and doesn't take much follow-up damage as a result.
And this is the problem of only having one frontliner for QG Craze. Evulli able to connect the Dragon Punch at the distance to get her off the board, and now with no one else able to contest, it's Cryptik with the 2-0 lead starting to chew back at this percentage capture. It is still 99% though for the boys of QG Craze that they can get in here.
Solo Tempest used by Grok around the outside of this fight. Not quite sure about that. Might have been a self-sustain. The contest comes through, forcing out Evulli will be QG.
Oh, no one stepped on point!
Too far away, focused on the kills. Lack of objective observation there. What was it that Nick said earlier?
Oh my goodness, 7 billion people in the world and not one of them on the payload for the side of QG Craze. And That's just a mistake by Pangge. I don't know if there was a call looking just for the kills or someone else thought they were on, but no one was there for the side of the red bodies, and this is not looking good now as there's a 3-0 lead. Of course, Cryptik was just on the heels, but that's going to give them that little bit of surge.
This will be powerful for them as well. They did drop a couple of members in that last fight, but doing so, they get their mid-round buys. Evulli comes in with a huge salvo there, forcing everybody back. doesupz could be in trouble here, could be hit by a shatter, being chooses to close that one out, puts themselves into dangers, got to retreat and wait for Kusqt to respawn here, or at least an out-of-combat regen. But at last, we see the Mending Spirits come through, back up to 4,400. Hexafire is ready, moves into position. Will it be activated? Not just yet.
No follow-up damage wrong with the rest of his team. There's no frontliners here, but now finally Buck's jumping into Buckwild has been activated. Evulli trying to find the Grok, but the Ghost Walk will be just elusive enough, and this Buckwild not finding a lot. The Fire Spit will get one. Evulli looking for another, is right on top of this Ash, but still just too much of a health pool. It's going to trade over to try to see if iDropBodies can finish it up, but good peel from QGuagua.
Huge salvo in the Fire Spit as well from Evulli, rocking out with the Worm Jets, doesn't have any knockback there, confirms so much damage onto their enemies, and finds Asher on the corner, immediate channel Dragon Punch. You can't immune with Shoulder Bash, the damage reduction just isn't good enough from their Battering Ram Legendary to deal with a one-hit KO, and again, looking at conversion, 59 seconds left on the clock, 3-0, will anybody contest?
It looks like it might just go Evulli's way. He finds himself a double kill, and it leads to Cryptik getting the second push right through. The boys from North America take 3 maps straight.
My goodness, what a change around, and Evulli finding their feeling, finding the momentum on Drogo's here, hitting so many direct impacts, and all the while augmented by the damage from their Torvald shield. Impactful plays, and Kusqt confident in their positioning.
Yeah, you can see a Kusqt also confident in what they've been able to offer as far as the score goes, just saying one more win. Craze still not out of this. They have taken out 2 of the 3 best teams in the world so far. They have the opportunity, of course, in front of them to do what a lot of people would consider the impossible. Never rule out a Cinderella story.
I mean, Cryptik had that themselves, right? 2 down versus Nile, facing defeat. They came back into it, but on the screen right now, of course, it's our favorite time of the day. Scoreboard and stats. Evulli leading far out in kills, 14 and 8 assists there. Only 6 deaths as well, whilst the highest on their team. Let's talk about deaths on Kusqt.
Yeah, and again, just a single death. 104.7 thousand healing. Again, this is...
So magic hands.
We don't talk a lot about supports throughout the qualifiers. We haven't. This tournament has been all about the supports staying alive, getting healing numbers done, and no one has been doing it better in this tournament than Kusqt.
And so far, it's been absolutely incredible throughout the duration of this tournament. We've hit now and surpassed game number 4. The scoreline is as follows. 3 up, our team Cryptik. 1 for QG Craze, and as we get ready to give the players a little bit of brief respect as this tournament, this final set, may just well go the distance. We ask, will QG Craze pull in the comeback, or will it be Team Cryptik in one final game? We'll be back in just a few minutes, and let's find out just then. Well, champions of the realm, we're back, and we're ready. QG Craze versus Team Cryptik in the finals of this amazing tournament so far, this 3D event, this phenomenal international LAN here at Dreamhack Valencia of 2017. Once again, Hi-Rez Vox, I hold shift, back on the mics to conclude potentially this set in maybe just one more game. We've seen 4 so far, and Cryptik at 3-1 are poised to take it all. The QG Craze have what it takes to come back.
They need to find a way to adapt and change. They're going to have the map choice and the potential to choose first, or of course get the second and third together in their drafting. And it really comes down to, again, we've talked so much about how this team has been able to learn, how they've been able to adapt, how they've been able to teach themselves to cope with really just about anything that they're thrown at. This is a situation where I think they, again, if they decide, this is the big key, if they decide to take Torvald first, that again pushes the issue of, will it be the next map if they win? Will they get the Torvald? Will they have an answer to it? This has been, Cryptik has been one step ahead of QG the entire way this series.
And we're seeing back and forth games so far, although less so now. Cryptik have drafted Torvald 3 times in a row, and every single game so far this set, Torvald has been on the winning team. But as we head through to game number 5, we'll have to see if that is still the case. We saw at the Masters LAN, really the answer to Bomb King come through for District 69. QG Craze need to find something similar. So we head to map number 5 on Jaguar Falls.
Love the way to say that.
Oh yeah.
Can I get, like, is my text message receipt be you saying Jaguar follow?
You know, I used to have a Revlobot thing set up for that actually. When I'd stream, I'd record some voice lines for followers and viewers, and occasionally, well, I think we can hook you up with that.
All right, sounds good. Sounds good. I'm gonna hold you to that.
Please do. Hold shift me to that.
Oh, absolutely, without a doubt. I only do it one way.
But Jaguar Fall is a very tight and compact map, where we're going to see potentially some of that hypermobile buck play not be quite as effective as we've seen previously, but Grumpy Bomb denial from Bomb King still just as valuable. The key question is, as we enter the drafting phase with QG up top, will it be first pick Torvald?
And I mean, this is going to be really interesting to see if they do go with the first pick Torvald. God, I never thought I'd ever see the day where I say first pick Torvald. And we're here. This is 2 in a row now. Torvald has been the game changer in this matchup specifically, and that's going to be the key continuing here. Though Kusqt not worried whatsoever. What do they take?
One more. The Maldamba, potentially. QG at this point, do they steal that as well? Do Cryptik just go double frontline if they get the Bomb King and the Drogos as well, go for double area denial? That worked out relatively well as far as we saw on the first map, of course, but will it be again?
And QG did that in that 4-3 matchup against Frozen Isle, or Frozen Guard, not Frozen Isle. That's not a map.
Again, fellas, they got picked again and again.
Yeah.
Cryptik yet to select, seem to be running into maybe some difficulties, just wondering what it's going to be so far. And we've seen so many different first picks come out through the last few months of Paladins competitive play. Went from Makoa to obviously through the Masters plan, it was none other than Bomb King and Bomb King the entire duration. But otherwise, I'm wondering what else is in there. Ruckus so far, but what else takes priority for Cryptik?
Yeah, and I think the Bomb King has to come out just because, again, that guy on your screen, Evulli, is so good at pulling those blaster damage. I mean, Drogos is fine too, but on this map in specific, Grumpy Bomb has so much area of effect when it comes to being placed on top of a payload, or specifically on top of the capture point.
Evulli just has the real-life deft hands, you know. He's able to throw out this bomb so quickly, position Grumpy Bomb very impactfully. And in OB54, that new Accelerant legendary, I'm very excited to see how that will impact play. But, you know, we are on OB52 once again, champions for this LAN event. Accelerant is still king, and Bomb King, well, do they still reign supreme?
And so far, the answer has been yes, mostly yes. Torvald, old daddy grandpa here, is giving him a run for his money. He's still showing that this old dog has a couple of new tricks left in them. And again, the historian able to throw a lot of extra utility into the game. And that's really been the big key, I think, just generally when you look at what has this tournament been. It's been about utility. It's been about the supports first. And now it's been about the shielding. There's just such a battle between shielding and healing. And it's really hard to see how impactful that is just by one screen. It will, in fact, be the Bomb King to try to deal with it. Cryptik did take a while to make their selections, and they take the Drogos as well. So you called this one, Vox.
Double AoE for Team Cryptik. They want to be able to break up any kind of point stack, and QG, we know how much they love Grok and Ying double deployables in a small and tight-knit center. Torvald as well, very vulnerable to potentially the Raka damage coming from these two champions, but then we have to wonder the Cryptik, who will apply your Cauterize. The next two picks do come through, though, up on your screen right now. Double flanker Buck, and a champion that we've heard talked about so much. But QG running it maybe for the first time.
First time we're going to see Androxus be played by QG, and I think this is just telling that they don't think Cryptik's going to go with the Cassie because they already have 2 damage dealers in their back pocket, and it will be Maldamba as that standard support, and I think support is the question mark that QG has to go with. Whoa, they are going to take the Cassie, so it will in fact just be one frontliner for the side of Cryptik, and that's going to be their last overall pick. Wow.
I think with the composition that's been drafted so far for QG, would it be anything other than Makoa at this point? It counters through Androxus reversal, it helps secure kills onto Buck. Cryptik leaving that to last, want to get their Cassie online, and Ying and Grok now drafted for QG, not stealing away the Makoa, leaves that potentially open. We'll have to see if that's taken, but no, it's the Stone Warden themselves. An ever-aggressive Warden favors this champion, and the stun from Seismic Crash could set up severe kill potential if either of the flankers are caught out without a movement ability.
This is really interesting, and I think this goes to just Cryptik leaning on WarDoom and saying, bro, you got this. He averaged yesterday 71, nearly 1,000 damage as a frontline main. He's able to, again, hold W, get in people's face, put the damage output out as a frontliner, and this is really big. Again, he is just so survivable, top KD for his team, nears the top when it comes to damage overall, and this is just showing, again, how much trust they put into that young man right there.
And the big important thing about Inara as well, with the survivability granted by Earth and Guard, reduces the amount of time that Kusqt on Maldamba will be spending healing them, and as a result, that allows them to focus more on the peripheral, spend more time playing babysit Maldamba with the Snake Toss and the Ripened Gourd to be able to slow down some of the hypermobile flankers that QG will be throwing their way. QG must react to this appropriately, and honestly, Torvald versus Inara on the objective, it's a bit of a perpetual fight This will be a battle of supports and peripherals, but I'm so excited to see Androxus lightly coming out for Shasha at last.
This is going to be a very damage-focused game, not only because of the numbers we'll see, but the fact that the damage dealers are going to be going up against the damage dealers. Androxus Bug will not do well against Zanara. They have to find a frag out against that Drogoz Bomb King. Will this be the conclusion? One more game is all Cryptik needs.
Let's find out. 7 seconds until this game begins. Cryptik on the right, 3-1, the QG Craze. doesupz back on their legendary Cassie. And the battle has begun. Initial position coming out from both teams towards the sun room they go, potentially dangerous if knockback is applied, and we'll have to see what legendary Drogoz is running. Initial poke on the buck is good on the objective. WarDoom 1v2, 1v3, 1v4, 1v everybody as doesupz goes to the backline, is looking for a pick maybe onto somebody, anybody.
Oh, but it will be first blood coming out against the WarDoom. The Evil Eye will punish QGuagua for getting in, and again we'll see exactly how Shasha is able to play that. Androxus finding the duel against Evil Eye. The reversal comes out. It will finette. No, it's going to be doesupz able to take him down.
The problem was, you go, okay, with its mass reversal, I'm going to fire back into somebody's face. doesupz goes one way, up into the air, will go Evil Eye, and you go, which way am I going there as well? Actually, iDropBodies, excuse me, on the Drogoz. Objective capture percentage being led by QG Craze, though, 72% so far. Now taken over by Team Cryptik. Can they hold? Caught out of position will be QGuagua, shut down by doesupz.
And the BM emote afterwards, cheerleading it up. 72% is where it stalls for QG Craze. Cryptik nearing that number second by second. QG Craze does have one more shot to get back at this, but they have to find themselves on the opening pick and get this team fight in their favor.
Around to the dark room goes Torvald, rushing towards the objective, and Ara just stood still, looks to the impasse and shut down immediately as QGuagua diving straight in and hit by the direct impacts coming through from the Drogoz. iDropBodies picks up Micah as well on the objective. iDropBodies with a double kill, looks for a triple kill, but doesupz steals that away as they take out Mikasa. Double as doesupz cleans up 2 and now pushes away towards the spawn of QG Craze. Team Cryptik capture the first objective.
This is so interesting to see who's focusing the frontliners because, again, neither of them have any mobility whatsoever. They're both super survivable, but they lack in the ability to reposition. So far, QG Craze has not found an Ara out of position, while on the flip side, Cryptik has found Torvald time and time again. This is a Dread Server coming out with Tempest right in the face with the ultimate coming out of those supports. QGuagua able to find himself a big kill, though, on Evil Eye.
Very, very important to take down the Bomb King there. And now Kusqt under pressure, taken down by Shasha. In deep goes QGuagua looking for damage. Heroic Leap is available again. Will they choose to be aggressive or just hold their charges? And importantly, with Bounce House, recognizing that had only just come up, had a way in, did not have a way out, chooses to remain and regenerate to 2800 HP on a 2-streak right now, but being poked out by doesupz.
This is looking good for the side of the defense for QG Craze. They're getting a lot of poke, and Droxus with a shield on them will go up, trying to frag out, but now Evil Eye with a big ultimate will find a nice connection as Mikasa does drop. The Hyper Beam will send off Evil Eye, though, while Shasha picks up 2 of his own. QG Craze, even though being down on numbers, are finding themselves still in this team fight.
And so important there as well. Able to heal all the way back up the full was QGuagua on Buck. Shasha picks up Kusqt. Actually trades out with Kami there, so likely the Gord actually doing work onto Grok, but still just taking the wind out of Cryptik sails time and time again. QG Craze holding this waterfall side of the objective, are confident in their positioning so far. Evil Eye sets up again, no King Bomb to try and break things up this time, but does have the element of surprise. Quickly sniffed out. Poppy Bomb not off the map though, and now in so much trouble.
Yeah, they were able to did not use that accelerant to get up and over, which is what he was looking for, to push him right back into that wall, and now an opportunity for QG Craze, but iDropBodies and doesupz have something to say about it. Flipping this one on the backside. It is the Scout activated extra movement speed for doesupz. He's connecting a lot of these shots and a lot of low targets, and in comes WarDoom pushing straight in front of that payload.
The problem was Mikasa shuts down doesupz, the respawn proximity advantage going to QG Craze, and already watching at home, they respawn closer to the objective, the convergence point. The conversion point, up goes iDropBodies, drops a salvo, which obliterates the shield coming through from Torvald. Now, no health remaining, they're likely to fall here. They go down to WarDoom in the backline. Buck looking for some damage, could be in trouble, healing everybody up is Kusqt. Dread Serpent at 95%, this could be used for conversion, so close, no contest so far. Will the respawns be enough? The QG Craze have enough to defend. Out comes Tempest, Dread Serpent is ready, Kusqt will throw it out. CC everybody, Buck could go down here, they're staying alive barely, but as is Kusqt.
Yeah, but still the fact of the matter is Buck was able to survive, Kami was able to get that Tempest off and find a lot of value, and now QG Craze in overtime find themselves 3 kills just for 1. Mikasa does fall though, so no support. Can Torvald stay alive? Evil Eye finds himself 2, but QGuagua shuts it down and says enough of this, let's tie it back up.
There we go. QG Craze defends successfully. QGuagua ending things with a double kill, keeping themselves in the game so close to conversion there to get so far. Dreadserpent maybe a little off the mark, didn't find the big connection onto a clumping of enemies, primarily used to zone away Buck, who died the backline, and whilst that allowed Kusqt to stay alive, Buck didn't fall at that point in time. The respawns just kept on trickling.
Indeed it did, and of course now ultimates will favor QG Craze. Can they get themselves some much needed momentum, or will this potentially be the start of the end?
We'll have to find out. The players look so focused right now, so ready. Kus rapidly communicating with his team, understanding what went wrong on that push and how they're going to approach this next objective. 4 seconds remain until the players go out of base. Offensive itemization, equalized, but heavy Wrecker presence for Team Cryptik. They don't want to deal with Punga's shield, who goes straight into blast shields here for extra survivability.
I like the pickup too, especially with the resilience also getting online for the side of QG Craze, knowing exactly how impactful that crowd control can be. Shasha is up in the air, looking again for a big cursed arm, but dodge rolling out of the way and going airborne, but finding a lot of shots. Shasha able to convert one in the backline. Reversal just for survivability. Will still have a couple of charges left, but still WarDoom able to change his focus very well. And now doesupz is getting involved. They too find 3, and this is looking good as now above 21% and climbing as Team Cryptik.
Not out of sight is a retake, however. QG Craze do have a Hyper Beam, which can at least buy time and push enemies off point. Buck Wild was used in the previous engagement. Tempest is charging very rapidly, but Team Cryptik, they're sitting on a King Bomb, they're sitting on a Dragon Punch. I would not be surprised if that was charged as soon as torvald got anywhere near the objective here. And now they come straight down Kusqt. iDropBodies, even if they trade, they've already done the damage.
Yeah, that's really big to take down the torvald. I don't think he expected to find him on the corner, but still, the objective is captured for Cryptik, but numbers are here for QG Craze. They need to frag out and get this defense set up aggressively, but Kusqt is just not dying. Finally, one shot connects, but at what cost? Shasha very low, 280. It looks like he will just barely be able to get out as Kami actually takes over the reins and makes sure there is no more pressure as WarDoom does drop.
Close, but no cigar, and again, it's just iDropBodies with a preemptive Dragon Punch, understanding that the player they need to remove from the fight is purely torvald, and then it will go their way, even if they fall, even if they trade, without those all-important protection shields and the extra damage. The body on the objective, no contest. Team Cryptik are leading, and the ultimates are charging rapidly, 93%, 94 now for Kusqt on Maldumba. Shasha forced away, looks for some damage towards the backline now, finds Evulli. If they take this one out, will eliminate King Bomb from the fight. That will be a big trade, and Tempest is enough to finish them off.
Indeed, and Kami, as you saw, was leading the damage charts, able to put out so much sustained, consistent damage right over the wall. Shasha able to find iDropBodies, who was trying to thrust away, and now has his sights turned to Kusqt. Can he track him down, though he lost sight? Not sure where he went.
Around the corner, around the wall, just peeking. Nice protection utilized preemptively there. Finds the flank towards Bomb King. Evulli falls for a second time in a row. Rampage for Shasha. Gets a second on the Kusqt. One more around the corner. torvald steals it away. But a kill is a kill no less. And with the support off the table, it buys breathing room for QG.
Yeah, be careful of the all-dangerous flank vault. Shasha able to push him right into the torvald, coming out from the Dark Rim side. And now getting aggressive is this defense. Shasha falling low, but the rest of his teammates are, but at what cost? torvald has got no mobility. So this is 3, and now Evulli is smelling it. He sees everyone low. He's got himself a King Bomb if he needs it. Might not be the case here as Kami falls down very quickly, and now just like that, 1 kill turns into 4, and then turns into 5. Evulli with a delayed double kill, and Cryptik is in spawn.
Craze now very in a very dangerous predicament. I mean, the trap outside the spawn doors forces them all through one. Grumpy Bomb there. King Bomb is ready. This delays everybody. Could be channeled and charged just here to try and keep them in their spawn. 25 seconds remain. Under pressure from Buck is Evulli, but Buck has no health left. But Shasha shuts them down. This could be big. iDropBodies in the air, fires a salvo and the cursed arm and drops us. Dreadserpent comes through from Kusqt, turning the tide around. Kami goes down as well. QGuagua finds one onto doesupz. Will this be enough? Ying spawns illusionary wrist, trying to keep the team alive for the time being, but iDropBodies' focus is paramount here. Will they find the air shot? Blown off the map by a Hyper Beam, but the impasse was good enough. Still, 3 kills go the way of QG Craze. They defend successfully, still holding themselves in this set.
God, torvald just says no, just absolutely no.
They raise their hand, they say stop, and everybody goes away.
Just a one-way ticket on torvald Airlines.
To hell and back?
It's somewhere in back. I don't know where that landed.
All the way down to, do you think that hit Serpent Beach all the way to Frog Isle at that point?
They had some pretty big trajectory on that. And that's
okay, hypothetical for you. If you send a Nara into the water, does she sink, or does she go across like a skipping stone?
Fox, I love you.
The feeling's mutual. Oh my goodness. Team Cryptik, though, still holding the advantage. 2 captures in a row, looking good there in set so far, but as late game itemization comes online, who are you giving more of the edge to here?
And this is really key. You see Cauterize 3 coming up for the side of Team Cryptik, and of course the Resilience, as you mentioned, is getting invested in very heavily. It should really allow Team QG to get themselves into a position and really hold their ground. QGuagua smells out, looking for the Drogos. Will have a lot of shots. Kami able to finish off what looks like to be a shock pulse bounce, but now here comes the frontline pressure. Cryptik is on point. They're above 18% and counting, and QGuagua with no support nearby is falling very low. Will pop the recovery though to stay alive.
Absolutely out of combat, able to heal up, but still doesupz, instead of trading in towards those Ying illusions, wisely rolls to safety, stays alive themselves, and now is able to regenerate out of combat. 57% rising for Team Cryptik on the objective. QG Craze must find a way back in, lest they fall down and capture one time again, and then it's only a conversion to push themselves towards victory. Nice zone from Evulli. doesupz looks for Androxus, finds 650 plus 200 on the objective. Just the zone is too good.
No one able to get to point. Again, these frontliners have no mobility. See, QG Craze is all here. They just got there too late. They have to commit a little bit earlier on if they want to find a way to get this Torvald on the point, but still, now even going through, you're seeing frags trading back and forth. The payload's going nowhere, so it just goes to show again that QG Craze was just a little bit late to that rotate.
Oh, the reload from Shasha actually stopped them from getting the slay onto iDropBodies. QT knocks them out of the air as Maldamba. Scout activated by doesupz reels all enemies in the payload, pushes out a spawn very, very quickly. 1885, Wrecker coming online for this Cassie Grandmaster here. Able to shut down so much of Torvald's shield in an instant. That's almost a full protection in just one shot.
Yeah, that's really massive, and especially as you get into that late game, that is the impact that Wrecker can have very quickly. Shasha with the shield, now turning around with QGuagua, but it is a Dread Serpent to the back line. No one able to follow up on some damage, though, and now the Accursed Arm will punish one. What else can it find? Not really much at all.
I mean, just a little bit of splash damage there, of course. Nerfs a while back now to Accursed Arm, meaning you can no longer get those shooting fish in a barrel quadra kills and pens for free. You've got to actually hit those direct shots, but still around the edge, around the outside. Shasha and the rest of the crew clean up everybody. Respawn's coming back. Could be that Shasha is overextended here, but they push forwards aggressively, helping out their Torvald. Was that a hyper beam? We just saw no. Still not in the tank just yet, but Inara sets up the seismic crash.
Not really much family. Oh, now doesupz is rolling through, finds himself one and then a second. Now QGuagua is forced to retreat back towards spawn, wait for his team. Still plenty of time. This doesupz continues to clean up and push and prod and get this Cassie going. 53 seconds until overtime, and QG Craze, this is a familiar situation. They're stuck in spawn.
Let's take a look at the ultimates, as these could be what are required to push them through. Almost sitting on a hyper beam. Buckwild is charged for QG on defense, but King Bomb has been activated for Evulli, looking for an early shutdown onto somebody, anybody. It will be Torvald, CC'd and obliterated. No longer do they have that hyper beam available. Buckwild activated to try and trade out. It does get a kill onto Evulli, but doesupz slays QGuagua. Could this be the end? The payload so close to conversion. One left contesting. It is Grok. Is Ghostwalk available? No. Pinned to a wall. Impasse goes up. Ying left here. Will Dimensional Link be enough? Panga is back. The respawn is here. Hyper Beam is already contesting his Androxus. That could keep them in the fight, but it's so close. But respawn proximity is buying time.
That's great play by Panga to get up and use it Hyper Beam immediately. But Nara is still here, but falling very low. As again, this defense is resetting themselves up. Big stunts coming out though, Box.
And the Impasse as well almost blocks line of sight. Does not quite go through, but the respawns, no. In favor of QG Craze. Overtime is ticking. Nobody from Team Cryptik can close the gap. I'm nailed by the defense. My heart is in my mouth. QG Craze hold on, but they are one objective capture away from defeat. They must find a way back in.
This is just a giant collective sigh came out of this arena. Just everyone holding their breath, and really getting to the end of that. It totally expires away. The overtime just falls off too fast, and you don't stay around the point.
Absolutely. Almost a very clutch impasse from WarDoom there, actually. Inara able to block line of sight from a couple of members, but good positioning from Kami on Grok just to ensure that in the event of that style of play coming through, no cheeky backdoor. This time around, there are players on the objective from Team QG, but they've got to find that time. Those feats on the capture objective. Many feats, lots of feats, at least one or two players to try and get that percentage rising. Late game itemization has come through. Resilience could be the key for QG Craze here. Immune to stuns, pretty much 90% reduction in duration. Grumpy Bomb goes out from Evulli. A full-on flank comes through from QG Craze. They're farming straight into damage. Still Evulli cleaned up. Out comes Dread Serpent splitting up all the members, but QGuagua stays alive. Nice illusory rift from Ying keeps all of the team stacked up. Team Cryptik have early point control, but now it's coming back in favor of QG Craze.
And they have the opportunity of chasing down and staggering out these kills. They need to find the Drogos. He will thrust back and around, but Kami able to help out with the WarDoom, and Shasha cleans up, and now it is Evulli who finds himself too, but still he does fall 60% and climbing for QG Craze.
Could be very close. Out goes the Gord. Kami in a lot of trouble. His Ghost Walk available. They do retreat to safety for the time being. 81% and rising. Late respawns from Team Cryptik. Could be trouble. Dragon Punch is here. WarDoom is ready on the objective, contesting for the time being, but being melted apart by QG Craze. But in comes the Dragon Punch, shuts down the Tempest. No more sustain for you, and WarDoom at full health on the objective is able to get the recap. 96% for QG Craze. Team Cryptik remain in control.
They need to find a way to get back. QG Craze had that, but we're not able to dismount Inara. That's so clutch. And now WarDoom twitching back and forth, trying to lock this one in for his team. 87%, and now it's being stalled by Chance.
Impasse is ready. It goes up. It blocks off the Torval, but still Grok is here. Straight to the objective goes QGuagua, but no, Evulli shuts him down. Double kill. King Bomb in midair. Will it find the damage? Will it find the stun? But shut down by Shasha. Contesting behind the reversal does get shut down. Ging with Dimensional Link is enough to stay alive for a second, but overtime is ticking. Team Cryptik clean up at the end, and they claim victory 4-1 here at Dreamhack Valencia, the Paladins Summer Premiere.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, give it up for your champions here in Valencia, Team Cryptik. What an amazing story. What an amazing thing. We're going to have a little bit of time with all of you, but first, the captain, doesupz. How does it feel to lead your team to this victory?
It feels great. It feels surreal. It's great. It's awesome.
It's great. It's awesome. It's great. I can see you're just speechless. There's just so much, probably, emotion going on in your head.
Absolutely. You know, we prepared so long for this, and we're so happy we won. You know, we put in a ton of effort, and this is just amazing. It really is.
Let's get a little bit of a word from some of the other members here. Watch out. Don't knock that off, buddy. Let's talk to Vex here as well. Just a quick. You've been supporting in the back scene, a big part of their qualifying path, helping them to train. They seem prepared. How do you feel watching these guys win on stage?
Amazing. The boys have been working all year for this. Every single day, grinding 8 hours a day. All worth it now.
Congratulations. WarDoom, the man who doesn't die. Come on up here, buddy. One of the premier tank players in the scene for a long time. One of the first players I ever met in I think the hotel bar when we first went to Dreamhack last year. You continue to prove that you were one of the best, and one of the best, maybe the best in the world. What do you have to say to people out there watching you?
I'm just glad we finally won. I mean, like what, 4th time? So, yeah, happy to be here. Thank you. Yeah, 4th seat. Good. Yeah, thanks.
Fantastic stuff. Thank you, WarDoom. Appreciate it. iDropBodies. Interesting story. Joined the team after a little bit of, miscommunication as the roster tried to find its rhythm. You came in and you started to play a big part in the tournament. You started warming up here and switched on to a crucial role. I can see you were ready to win this one from the beginning.
Yeah, man. My dog was sick, and I really wanted to win this so I can pay his medical bills. But honestly, he passed away 2 weeks ago, and I was really, really sad about it. But I really wanted to win this still for that great motivation I had. So I'm really happy right now.
That's an amazing reason, man. I'm sure the crowd is clapping for that. Dog passed away, and of course, at least this is a bit of consolence there for that. Now, Evulli, again, a new member to join in throughout the Summer Premier qualifiers. You played a big role. You came in on the Drogos, just made a huge impact, taking that away from Kami. How does it feel to be at this LAN and get the big W?
It feels fantastic. I mean, this is only my second LAN, but I love my team. We worked hard for this LAN, and I'm just happy that we won.
Last but not least, looking to the future, we have to talk to the big man himself, Kusqt. We remember meeting you. You've gone to the finals last year at Dreamhack. A little bit of a different scenario. It was a famous can-crushing moment when Kungarna lost. But now you finally achieved the #1 spot. I just need to hear in your own words what this means to you.
Give us 4th seed more, I guess, you know?
You want it? You want it now?
Yeah, give us 4th seed.
I have a feeling if we rank you anything below #1, you're going to get a little mad at us.
Give it to Europe. That's fine. We did good here.
One of the things I do want to remark on is at this tournament, you said you were the underdogs. You usually come in with a boastful, confidence nature. That's part of what Team Cryptik is about. You guys get hyped. But was there a different approach? You seemed prepared for anything and everything QG was ready to throw at you.
I mean, we dropped all the pressure. You know what I mean? We accepted that we're an underdog, and it made it a lot easier to play, perform, keep our calm. So,
last but not least, anything to say to the fans watching, all the people who have supported you, your stream, your viewers here in Paladins game from the beginning?
Thanks for watching. I hope you guys spam some emotes. You know what I mean? Straw! We really appreciate it. The fans, you know, we wouldn't be able to do it without you guys, and thank you so much.
Well, congratulations to Team Cryptik. Of course, it wouldn't be a championship if you didn't get to hoist this thing. So, doesupz, come over here, big boy. Cryptik, come gather around and show everyone in Valencia what you just heard here. Champions of the 2017 Dreamhack Team Cryptik, ladies and gentlemen. And we do have an MVP trophy. That one goes, as I've been told on the stage, to the man himself. He was here a year ago, didn't get the win, but now he finally does. Kusqt, MVP here. Congratulations, Kus. Congratulations, Team Cryptik, everybody involved. Everyone, that's going to end the show for today. It's been probably the best tournament we could have ever hoped for. Congratulations to China and QG for making it this far. And of course, for all you who support Hi-Rez Esports and Paladins, there's even more coming. Get excited, because this is just the beginning. My name is Randy, and as always, remember to never give up, never stop gaming, and we'll see you all in the realm.